This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Rock and Roll Denim, Bill Fick Ford, the WCRA, and Resistol. Bill Fick Ford, the #1 Super Duty dealer in the entire country, is still taking care of their customers. It's hard to get trucks right now, but there's some perks when you're the #1 Super Duty dealer in the country. You still got trucks. Go to BillFickFordHuntsville.com to get the no bull discounts that no one else is giving during this crazy time that we're living in. Bill Fick Ford is still the place to go. In fact, if you ask me, it's the only place to get a new Super Duty dealer today. Bill Fick Ford. The Women's Rodeo World Championship is the largest purse in the history of women's rodeo, paying out a total of $750,000. The event will take place October 26th through the 29th in Las Vegas at the South Point Arena. Each Women's Rodeo World Champion will take home a minimum of $60,000 each, while the all-around champion will collect a minimum of $20,000. The championship event dishes out equal money in all disciplines. This is your chance at a piece of that $750,000 purse. Earn your position on the leaderboard by nominating your team roping, breakaway, and barrel racing runs with the WCRA. Visit womensrodeoworldchampionship.com to learn more on how to qualify for the richest event in history of women's rodeo. Again, that's womensrodeoworldchampionship.com.
What sets Resistol apart is the legacy of the cowboys who wear the brand. These traditions are passed down from fathers to sons, from heroes to future champions. Since 1927, Resistol has been handcrafting the finest American-made cowboy hats. Generation after generation, we live it every day.
This is The Gauge with host Chance Conradu.
Are you freaking serious? It's Conrado. This is The Gauge, and I am Chance Conrado. On this episode of the podcast, we got a promise fucking kept. Clinton Anderson, part 2. Here's the thing. I gave a disclaimer on the first one. I'm going to be more blunt this time. If you don't freaking like it, don't listen to it. You know, I'm not going to let anybody talk shit about my buddy Clinton. He's authentic. We support authentic people. I know you may not like the words, but the message is what you're here for. It's a great message. There's a lot to learn from him. That's why I wanted him to come back, why he wanted to come back. He's got a lot that he can give to the industry as far as information. And yeah, it might be a little rough around the edges, but so is everything. Check it out. Well, here we are again, Clinton. We immediately after we released your episode, obviously you and I had talked about doing another one. Mm-hmm. And you never know when exactly you should do that, but we're just like, forget it. Let's do it before the end of the year. I think it's a great way to kind of cap off the shittiest year ever.
That is true. I don't know if it's a compliment or what the fuck it is. We're gonna finish off a real shitty year with you, Clinton.
Yeah, we're gonna put a fun little cherry on top just to end it for everybody. You know, it was like, let's just wrap 2020. I don't know about you, but this year flew by uncomfortably fast.
It did. It really fucking did.
If the rest of life goes as fast, I mean,
it's over.
It's done.
It's funny enough, we're starting 2022, Clinton.
Oh,
this episode's starting 2022, so we're wrapping up with you, and we're going to start with you.
Yeah, fucking. At least we start with a fucking low. It can only go up from there.
Yeah, I mean, I know one of the things we talked about after is just it went completely and totally viral, and we've had a lot of stuff go viral, but the most viral, and I kind of racked my brain. I was like, well, why was that exactly? Was it, you know, all the talks about fellatio and old ladies? Was it the... It's called marketing, motherfucker. Fuck a duck. I don't know. All these great little clips, these little clips that we could have taken out of our conversation last time. And the I know you were telling me, I don't know, it was maybe a month or two ago we were talking, and you had mentioned you had like some people freak out on you. You wouldn't believe what people said to me. They're like, Jesus is coming for you. How could you have that man on your podcast? Well, what was that thing we got on Apple the other day? The guy was like, you guys better clean it up or you're going down. Yeah. Like, okay.
We personally, we didn't, in my office and our company, we didn't get any hate on it at all.
Yeah.
But I also know that my customers that know me are kind of broke to me now. You know, like they're used to me. And it doesn't shock them anymore, where because I do not a weekly, but I kind of do a vlog for my own No Worries Club members. So I talk like that all the time to them.
Right.
This podcast was the first time I really was kind of out to non-Clinton Anderson customers. Like if you come to my tour, I talk like that, but non-Clinton followers don't really know who much about what I am, especially rodeo world. It's not my niche, you know what I mean? So very few people would have known who I am as far as, my personality, but we got very little pushback on it. I tell you what it did. It struck a nerve with a lot of horse trainers. A lot of horse trainers walked up to me. First of all, I think it did two things. I think the horse trainers realized that I'm not against them. Like there's this bit of this fucking battle between the clinicians and the horse trainers where, the horse trainers think the clinicians are a bunch of fucking rope wriggling can't do anything, and the clinicians think that the fucking horse trainers are a bunch of barbarians, so there's this interstellar battle going on between both niche markets that they kind of hate each other. And I think the horse trainers realized after that podcast that I'm not against them. I'm not the clinician that's bashing the horse trainers, you know what I mean, where a lot of clinicians will bash the horse trainers, like fucking Pirelli for most of his career. Pat Pirelli would call horse trainers professional predators and basically run them under the bus, and of course horse trainers get kind of pissed about that, you know what I mean? And so I think the horse trainers realize that I'm not against them. I've never been against them because I was a fucking horse trainer before I got to be a clinician. You know what I mean? A lot of people I don't think knew that until they saw the podcast, that this guy come from a different industry and then moved into being a clinician. So I think they realize that I'm not against them. I'm trying to help them make money. I'm trying to help the industry charge more so they can make a good living. And so I think that really helped them quite a bit. And I think it got inside a lot of horse trainers' heads, like, I don't want to die fucking broke. So what the fuck am I doing? Like, I need to start charging more. I need to start investing my money. I need to start thinking about, where am I going to end up when I'm 60 and my body's sore? So I think I had a lot of horse trainers come to me and say, hey, would you talk to me? Would you give me a few? And I'd be happy to. We'll sit down with a drink, and some of them did it, some of it didn't. And I don't push it. If they want to pick my brain, I'm happy to answer their questions and help them. And if they don't, I'm good too. But I think it got the wheels spinning that, fuck, my body won't last forever. And I'm not making a lot of money now, and what the fuck am I going to do when I'm 60? I think it got the wheels spinning. There was one particular horse trainer, I don't even know his name. He was an older gentleman. If I had to guess, I bet this guy was 60, 65, walked up to me at the Cow Horse Futurity. He introduced himself to me. I didn't know who he was. And he said, that podcast, he said, it kind of really hit home to me and really made an impact on me. And I said, well, great, and he said, I needed somebody like you to give me permission to charge more money. He said, I've always wanted to go up on my prices, but I've always been scared to do it. And he said, you gave me a kick in the ass to say, fuck it, I'm worth this much and charge it. And he said, and you could tell this kind of horse trainer, he wasn't training high-end futurity horses. He was just doing breaking-in horses, colt starting. He said, I sent all the junk home. All the shitty horses, I sent them home. He said, no longer do I do a 30-day, quick fix. He said, I'd have people call me and want a 30-day quick stop put on their horse. He said, fuck it, I don't do that anymore. And he said, I've got half as many horses, charge a lot more money and a lot more happier. And he was a little teary-eyed about it. You could tell this old guy had busted his ass and worked his ass off his whole career training horses, and it got a little emotional. He got a little teary-eyed. Like, you could tell it's like he realized that he needed to be doing this 30 years ago. Sooner. And I thanked him. I shook his hand. I said, I'm glad I could help you. And that kind of made me feel good that I really helped a guy that was needing some money coming in and was working in, salted the earth, worked his ass off, and you could tell it had a big impact on him. So I think the horse trainers started realizing, one, I'm not against them, I'm on their team, and two, they need to start valuing what they're worth and charging it too, and people will pay it.
Yeah, they will. And I mean, the thing that I got, because it's kind of the curse and the benefit of it being my program, is the people who didn't like it came right to me, but the people who did, it was 1,000 to 1. Like I still have messages from back when we did that I never opened, because like, I'm just done.
I told you when we did it, it was either going to be wildly successful or wildly hated.
Both.
And it does go both ways. But here's what's funny to me is nobody disputed. Okay, like my advertising marketing company that I use to do all my marketing, he loved the podcast. He said he listened to it 3 times. And I was a little surprised because he's always tried to tone me down a little bit. Most of my career, I've always had people kind of trying to tone me down. And finally, he just realizes I'm like this naughty fucking kid that they can't control. So he just lets me be who I am, which I like. And I said, did you get any people hating on me? And he said, I had 2 or 3 people call me. And he said, they didn't like the podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what did you say to him, Dan? And he said, I just said, Clinton's Clinton. He's a grown fucking man. He can do what he wants, say what he wants. And he said, what did Clinton say that was not true? What did he say that was false, not true? And he said, they didn't have an answer. They couldn't say. And I said, what do you think they wanted to do by calling you? Because they know that you represent me. And I said, what do you think they were hoping to accomplish by calling you? And he said, I think they were hoping I would call you and try to rein you in. And he said, when I basically told them I'm not going to do that, he said they didn't have an answer for it. See, America is so fucking pussy whipped that companies are so frightened of what a customer has to say. You know, when some little old lady calls up and says, I'm not going to spend any more money with you, people fucking shit down their leg and run away. Well, it's a small minority. And when you tell people that they're not going to change, they just don't know how to handle it. Like, for years, I'd have people call. Here's what I learned about public appearances and shit. So I'd do a tour, and I'd have a couple thousand people show up, and I'd tell a fucking Arab joke or an Appaloosa joke or some bullshit, you know, and just being funny and fucking off. And I'd get back to the office on Monday, and my office staff would come to me and say, oh my God, you got to put out an apology. There's so many people who are offended by this joke.
The political correctness thing.
And I'd say to them, well, first of all, I said, how many people are calling in? Just lots. There's tons of people. And I said, okay, I tell you what I want you to do. Write down the name, phone number, and address of every person that calls in the next week that's highly offended and wants an apology. Write down their name, and at the end of the week, come to me and show me how big the list is. And at the end of the week, it was fuck all, 3 people. So I'd say to my call staff, I'd say, this is way before the app and everything, I'd say, okay, show me your list. There's fucking 3 people on it. And I'd say, so you're telling me 3 people out of 2,000 people didn't like the joke that I said. Is that right? Yeah, Clinton, you don't understand. They were really angry. They were really upset with you. You don't understand how mad they were. And I said, I don't give a fuck. 3 people out of 2,000. People don't need a reason to complain if they're unhappy. When people are unhappy, they want to vocalize their opinion. So if I only got 3 people out of 2,000 that were pissed off, I'm on the right fucking track. Okay, but what I learned was your staff or people who work for you, when they got somebody chewing their ass out on the phone, they will do whatever the fuck it takes to get rid of this person. So what it really meant was my staff didn't like getting bitched out by a couple of bitchy ladies, so they wanted me to take the pain away. When they realized I wasn't going to take the pain away, because numbers don't lie, but people do. Numbers do not fucking lie, but people do. When they came to me and said, you need to make a public apology, they'd make me act like there was fucking 1,000 people called in and signed a petition. 3. Does that make sense? So that taught me the power early on that the squeaky wheel gets the most oil. Fuck the squeaky wheel. Don't give the squeaky wheel one fucking drop of oil, because they don't spend any money with you. They're just very vocal, but they're not the majority. The majority of people love the joke. And again, you can't please everybody, so fuck it. Don't try to please everybody.
Well, and it's funny, right? Because so the entire like dichotomy of the way that our freaking country works now, really just the world is, you know, on like in a selling environment, right? Like my other business is a retail sales organization. Mm-hmm. It's the customer is always right. Mm-hmm. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Sometimes the customer doesn't even know what they're talking about. Sometimes the customer doesn't even know what they need you to do for them unless you really help them or explain it. But you also, exactly like you said, the old ladies, probably the ones you didn't, you know.
So I would tell my staff, I'd say, listen, number one, don't ever fucking apologize for me. If I hear that you're apologizing for me or my behavior, you're done working for me. Number 2, when people call up and bitch, here's what you do. You listen to them, listen to how they want to bitch, and say, okay, so ma'am, let me see if I get this straight. You were offended in the first 5 minutes of Clinton being on stage, correct? Yes, I was highly offended as soon as he walked out. Well, ma'am, how long did you stay at the tour? Well, I stayed for 2 days. Well, ma'am, if you were so offended, why didn't you leave in the first hour? First time he dropped the fucking F-bomb and the C-bomb, why didn't you leave? Well, I liked his horse training. So let me get this straight. You like his horse training and how he teaches, but you just don't like the delivery method. Did I get that right? Well, yes, I want him to tone it down. Well, you don't get to pick that. You get the messenger and the message together. You know, and the messenger and the message are kind of glued together. So they love what I have to say about horse training, and they like how I teach. They just don't like the delivery method. Well, ma'am, you could have left in the first hour. We say to people up till noon on the first day, they get a full refund. So they have from 9 to noon to be offended. If they come to us wanting their money back by noon, we happily give it. We don't even fight it. But if you stay after noon, you're done. I can't tell you how many fucking movies I've been to that I thought when I got out of the movie, it was just kind of a shitty movie. I don't go back to the ticket box and say, hey, motherfucker, I need my money back. It was a shitty movie. I hated the way it ended. That's my gamble when I walk in to get a movie. I may like the ending, I may hate the ending.
Or anything. But I think we should break this down a little farther, right? Because it speaks to something really interesting. And we get it, right? Like, so your episode, we're talking six-figure downloads, right? I mean, we're hundreds of thousands of people downloaded that single episode. And we've had six-figure downloads before, but that's the highest downloaded one. And so if you look at a number like that, and we probably got 100 people who complained, still, the percentage is so minute. It's just somebody who wants to be heard for the sake of being heard. So if they see a program like this, they see a person like you or a person like me or whatever, it doesn't really fucking matter, right? It's like, what is one thing I can gravitate towards to cause negativity, to feel important? Like if I say something negative, maybe they'll see me. You know, maybe Clinton will find out. Maybe he'll call. You know what I mean? And so you get this whole dynamic of people who just want to be important. And so the best way to be important is to bitch.
Well,
right?
a way to neutralize it, and I told my staff this for years, you listen to them bitch and then say, okay, ma'am, thank you for that. I appreciate your call. And then they're shocked and they're like, well, what are you going to do about this? Ma'am, we're not going to do anything about it. Clinton's a grown man. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Well, anybody, right?
So they're absolutely dumbfounded when they realize we're not going to jump when they say jump. They don't know how to react to that. America has trained customers that if you bitch, and I blame Walmart more than this than anybody. Walmart, you buy a fucking packet of diapers, take them home, your kid shits in 3 of them, you take them back to Walmart, they give you the money back. They're the ones that started this whole bullshit of a refund policy, no fucking questions asked. Well, all you did is create a bunch of animals. When you tell people, ma'am, I'm not going to do anything about this, they are literally fucking dumbfounded. They don't know how to react. See, you don't argue with them. I tell my staff, don't defend me. Just say Clinton is who he is. When there's no defense of it and there's no argument, what have they got to argue about? But I've been doing it so long now, at least the people that follow me, they don't try to change me anymore because they just know who I am. And they accept it and they like it. And the people that don't like it will move on. I always tell customers this, you have a right as a customer to do business whoever the fuck you want. That's your right. But me as a business owner, I sure as shit still have the same right to do business with who I want.
You can pick your customers.
So if your values don't line up with me, I don't have to do business with you, whether you fucking like it or not. And I tell you what, when you knock, I tell my academy students and apprentices this, and I'll tell everybody this, horse trainers. If you think some customer is going to be crazy, don't take their money, because if you think they're batshit crazy when they've got their money, imagine how big a pain in their ass when you've got their money. So you have the right to say, hey, I just don't think we're going to be a good fit. And usually when I do that, I'd say it somewhat polite. Hey, ma'am, I don't think we're going to be a good fit here, but I appreciate that. Well, usually they'll keep pushing. Well, why am I not a good fit? And I try to dodge a question a little bit to try to avoid the fight and say, I just don't feel like it's the right time, and I just feel like our goals are not really aligned, blah, blah, blah. Try to smooth it over. And usually it's a woman, and they'll keep fucking pushing me, and they back me into a corner, and they say, why not? And I say, okay, listen, I'm sorry, but you're a crazy cunt. You made me say it. I'm sorry. You backed me into a fucking corner. I tried to save your feelings. I tried just to stop saying that, but you're a fucking batshit crazy cunt, and I want nothing to do with you. Are you happy? I called you the C word. Then they usually start fucking crying, and then they run off and tell everybody I'm a fucking asshole. I tried to avoid this by politely telling you you're a crazy bitch 4 separate times, but you're a fucking woman and you couldn't quit pushing.
So which of the 2 divorces was caused from that same transaction?
What'd you say?
Which of your 2 divorces were caused from that same discussion?
Both of them.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, like, to me, like, the most important thing, like, I invite you to come onto the show, or anybody, right? Mm-hmm. And the most important thing to me, to get any value out of anything that a Clinton Anderson or any fucking person says, is to let that person be authentic. Mm-hmm. And people hate that. And what they don't realize is, like, I'll let a televangelist come sit down there and I'll let him be his authentic self, right? He's not going to say the C word. He's not going to say fuck. Yeah. He's not going to say any of my favorite words. Yeah. And that's okay. He can sit here and we can have a discussion about the Holy Ghost and all these different things, and someone's going to find value in that. Yeah. Why would and this is what just dumbfounds me when I was like, you're not going to believe what this person just said. I'd be like, what? So what do they want? Do they want a fake world where they don't know what anybody represents, what anybody stands for, or who anybody is?
They want to control somebody else's life. I don't give a fuck what you are. You could be gay, straight, Asian, black, blue. I don't give a fuck. You want to suck dick for a living? Goddamn it, be the best dick sucker in the world. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. You want to eat pussy, but don't be an average pussy eater. Be the best pussy eater God ever put on the earth. Like I don't give a shit what you want to do with your life, but I expect the same out of you. Don't give a fuck what I do with my life. I don't give a fuck what you want to do. So I respect your personal decision. You want to be fucking liberal? Knock the fucks out. Be liberal, motherfucker. I don't care. But don't stop me from being Republican. I don't give a fuck. So if people just mind their own goddamn business a lot more and let you be your life. So as long as you're not in my house sucking another dick, I don't give a fuck. What you do with your life, it's your business. Knock yourself out. Be the best dick sucker in the world for all I care. Okay, so what they really want to do is control you and get you to talk their way. And I don't think any human should be doing that to somebody else. You know what I mean? So I remember something. If you're pissed off at a restaurant, if you go to a high-end restaurant and you get a great steak, you don't go find the manager to tell the manager how great the steak is. You expected it because you paid $400 for that steak dinner. Okay, but if you got a shitty steak, you sure as shit will go find the manager to bitch at that. People that are unhappy are highly motivated to go complain. So when I get 3 people out of 2,000 that are pissed off, that means I rung the bell because there was a lot more that were happy. Happy people don't write comments. You notice that?
You never hear from them again.
No. I noticed on the comments on the YouTube thing that must have been some old biddies got on the reviews and wrote some bad reviews. And you got on there and said, hey, if you like the podcast with Clinton, please write a review. You just, if you like, you didn't say to do it. You just said, if you liked it. Yep. What happened then when you said that?
Well, most people liked it. So
yes, it was flooded.
Let's pick a number.
But the people that were happy didn't write it.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
Until you asked them to. I rest my case. Until you asked them to write a positive comment. Well, you didn't even ask to write a positive. You just said if you liked it, write a comment.
Yep.
Okay. But until you asked it, happy people didn't write a comment. Unhappy people, without your solicitation, did that, didn't they? The people who didn't like it wrote it. That's what I'm getting at.
But that's our marketplace.
That is human nature. I do it. When you're happy, you don't typically say shit. You might tell a couple of your buddies, but you don't try to stand on the top of a roof of a building. When you're unhappy, you look for a pedestal, as human nature goes. Now, so if you would have only read the reviews and didn't put out that post, you would say this was a highly negative, a bad podcast. But once you said, hey, if you're happy, voice your opinion, it completely swung the other way. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I agree, but so take it even a step further. Our currency is people clicking download. Mm-hmm. So if I see 6-figure people downloaded one single podcast in several days, I already know it was a success because we've seen others. A perfect example would be someone who has this amazing story, right? They wrote a best-selling book. They put out this. They did that. They have this amazing, deep, philosophical journey they went on. They lost a child. They did this. We've done fucking everything here, right? We've had wildly famous politicians on. We've had people who have went on like walkabout journeys and written books about it, best-selling books, and then a bunch of rodeo motherfuckers and people like you and all that. And what you realize is there's a direct correlation between the clicks and if people liked it.
Yeah.
You bring somebody on who tells this amazing story that could be turned into a Netflix special, that'd be great. No one gave a fuck.
Yeah.
But we come on in here and we drink and we talk shit and hundreds of thousands of people download it. It's like, I don't care if 100 people out of all those people say something negative. In fact, any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. But it's just... People have just not... Why do you think Donald Trump was so fucking successful? Whether you like
They're
Donald...
still talking about him. He's still the enemy right now.
I loved him. I love Donald Trump. But whether you liked him or hated... Even the people that hated him, they'd have to agree on this. He was himself. He didn't say what... The difference between Donald Trump and most politicians is most politicians try to say what they think the audience are going to want to hear. That's why they did the focus groups and the dick-sucking groups and who likes this and who doesn't like that. Donald Trump didn't do that. He was the first politician in 60 years that came along and said, motherfucker, these are my ideas. These are my ideas, and this is how I think the country should be run. And it took off. People loved it. People loved it. He didn't give a shit if you liked him or not. So even the people that hate Donald's guts, they'll never say he was counterfeit. They'll never say he only said what he thought would be popular. That's what most politicians do. That's why most of them are counterfeit motherfuckers. He was the first guy that came along and said, these are my ideas. And until COVID come along, he was kicking ass in a big way. And then COVID came along, shut everything down for a little while, okay? But my point is, most people want to say what they think other people want to hear. He didn't. He said what he thought were the good ideas. And if you liked him, you voted for him. If you didn't, you didn't. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, well, there's a big group of us who don't, but there's a whole nother group that are so attached to the idea of being told exactly what they want to hear, and they don't even give a shit who's saying it. Yeah. They don't care if a guy, like, no offense to anybody who likes Joe Biden, but they don't give a shit that he spent 50 years in politics flip-flopping on every single major issue that he's ever been presented, and the fact that his entire net worth and his whole life is based off of how much of our tax money that guy's stolen. Mm-hmm. No one gives a shit about that. Yeah. But an eccentric billionaire who slept with prostitutes and whatever else that he did, comes out and, yeah, you're not going to, his ego was his downfall, whatever. But he never stopped
being him.
And look, you don't have to like that. There's things about him that weren't likable.
Remember something about all human nature, okay? Your greatest strength as a human being is also your greatest weakness. Either way, I'll give you a perfect example. Donald Trump, okay? And I'm a lot like him in the fact that we say what's on our mind. His greatest strength is he's genuine and authentic. He says what he believes what he says. He can't be intimidated, he can't be pushed around, okay? But the flip side is your greatest weakness is because he says what's on his mind, he pisses a lot of people off.
And it can be used against him.
And I'll be the first. Sometimes, Trump would say all kinds of stupid shit that I'd kind of chuckle at and say, it's kind of stupid, but I'd say a lot of stupid shit too. Okay, your greatest strength is your greatest weakness. Take Obama, for example. Obama was anything but offensive, meaning that he never tried to pick a fight. He went on the whole America's we're poor and we're, I call it the dick sucking tour. When he first got elected, he went around the world and apologized to the whole fucking world. I'm sorry, we're American and we'll do a better job of sucking your dick and blah blah blah. And I'm sorry, we're so mean and I know we give billions and billions away to every fucking country in the world, but we'll give more billions away. He said the non-controversial things, but he was well hated too. So you can try to remember, when you sit in the middle of the fence, you get splinters in your ass. When you sit in the middle of the fence and try not to pick a team, you still get splinters in your ass. Okay, so people are not used to people wanting to pick a fucking team because they're worried of the backlash. Don't be fucking worried about it. Here's the great thing about America. It's the fucking greatest country in the world. If you're into pet fucking rocks and that's what you jerk off to is pet rocks, guess what? There's enough other weirdos that are into pet rocks. So you've got enough weirdos together that you have a pet rock association, you have a pet rock national museum, you have a pet rock fucking world championship show on pet rocks and they're all jerking off on their pet rocks. There's enough other weirdos that are into pet rocks. That's what's great about this country. There's so many fucking people here. It doesn't matter what your niche is. Somebody else likes it.
Well, and just like the Western world, it's going to be the entire fucking center of the universe. And the people in it aren't going to know what's going on with anything else. Yeah. I mean, cowboys, cowgirls, whatever. It's a notorious group who are so stuck in where we come from, what we do, and so fixated on it. A lot of them aren't as educated as you are on what's going on in the world. And
I watch a lot of politics, yes.
Yeah, well, and you should, right? Because I think you really, which is why I take political turns all the time and we bring politicians on this show, is because I think it's highly valuable for you to know what the fuck is going on in this country because I started
really paying attention to politics when I figured out how much it affects my fucking money.
Well,
when I start realizing how much I get taxed and how much laws affect me doing business, how easy it is to do business, how difficult it was to do business. When I started realizing that, that's when I started following politics, okay? I think it's funny. I fucking get a kick out of this. Biden said to everybody, we're not going to raise taxes on anybody that's making less than $400,000. If you make less than $400,000 a year, your taxes aren't going to... Bullshit. Look at gas prices. Look at inflation. All the poor people are getting fucked right now. I'm not. I don't even check gas prices. I don't give a fuck if it goes up to $10 a gallon. Okay, but all the people that voted for Biden because they didn't want the rich people getting fucking taxed, they're paying through the roof right now for everything. Every single thing. So you can claim that we're not going to tax you, but when you have bad policies, everybody gets taxed. See, here's the one fucking thing that Democrats will never get through their fucking brain. They're too fucking stupid to get this, okay? Here's the deal. They hate business owners. They think business owners are the Antichrist. They're the greedy motherfuckers that make all this money.
Specifically small business owners.
Don't pay anybody any money and don't pay wages, and we're just the evil of the world. Here's what they don't ever get about people that start businesses and make money. When I make a lot of money, guess what I typically do with it? I spend it. You know how I spend it? I expand my business. I build more buildings. I hire more people. I buy more cool shit. I buy 3 more cars. You get what I'm saying? I buy shit that makes jobs. And when you make more jobs, there's more taxes. There's more payroll taxes, social security taxes, everything. When very few people make a lot of money and just hoard it over here and live cheap. They hoard it over to the side and say, oh, I'm not going to spend all this money. I'm just going to keep it right here and I'm going to live in a single wide fucking trailer. They don't do that. So now, as a business owner, when I start getting taxed the fuck out of my income and I get laws against me, what Democrats do, I don't spend money. I clam it right the fuck up. Guess what happens when I clam it up? I don't hire more people. I don't build more buildings. I don't expand my business. I go into shutdown mode because I know I'm going to need that money because I'm getting taxed the fuck out of. That's why Trump was so successful. He lowered regulations. When he lowered regulations, private sector took off. It took off. So that's why the economy boomed. Right up until COVID, it fucking boomed under Trump. Absolutely boomed. Okay? Because he lowered the rules to doing business. He took away all the bureaucracy of people making 1,000 fucking deals. When I was in Ohio, when I built that barn up there, the fucking EPA, the amount of rules and regulations I had to go through to build a wash rack. I wasn't even allowed to have the water from a horse wash rack fall out in the ground, run out in the ground.
No, it
I had to build separate
the rainwater.
tanks. And then have those separate tanks fill, once they got full, had to be pumped into another tank and then cleansed and then spread on a field. It's just an example, a stupid example of how government make you run through 15 fucking hoops to get something that could be taken one step done. You know what I mean? And Trump's deal was for every one new rule, you got to take away 2 or 3 others. Remember that in the news? He said, if you want to make a new rule with the environment and all that shit, you got to take away 2 more regulations. And it went off like gangbusters. Rich people, the more money they make, the more they spend. The more they spend, the more jobs that are created, the more industries are created. So that's what Democrats don't get, is that wealthy people don't hold on to their wealth typically. They spend it. And when they spend it, everybody makes money.
But the Democrats, so their entire goal, it's not to improve the middle class. It's not to improve the lower class. It's to acquire votes. That's why they want to open the border. Like, hey, you flood over from Mexico. Here's what we'll do. We'll give you $400,000 for you and your family, or whatever amount it is. That was just a thing that was mentioned. Obviously, as soon as it wasn't popular, what do? They drop it. They flip-flop on it. The entire idea, and that's from the state level, the county level, the city level, all the way up to the federal level. Mm-hmm. A city council, whatever. I just 10 miles up the road, I have my business set up. The amount of bullshit I had to go through with a city council filled with a bunch of just limp dick people who have no idea what's going on in the world. They get to tell you that they have to annex an acre, 40-foot long fire lane, an acre of your property. So a fire truck can pull all the way around instead of backing out. They annex your property. Now it's unusable. And you can't say anything to this fucking guy who makes $12 an hour. Yeah. It's a power grab. Everything's a power grab.
Trump was the first politician that came in a long time that actually knew how to run a business. He ran the country like it was a business, which means if you did a good job, you got a pay rise. If you were doing a shitty job, you got fired. He didn't give a fuck if you were white, black, Asian, American, gay, straight. He didn't give a fuck.
He had one of the most diverse cabinets of any president.
He gave a fuck. Could you get the job done? Could you get the job done? You might say, well, he didn't have to fire people as abrasive as he did. Sure, he didn't have to. But again, your greatest strength's your greatest weakness. If you want results, you got to run over a few people to get it. You don't get to the top of Mount Everest without mowing some people down. Okay, that's how you get there, by not letting anybody get in your road. So he was a true businessman. He ran the country. First time in 75 years we're energy dependent. We produced our own oil. Gas prices were low as hell. Now we're buying gas from other countries. How fucking stupid's that? The only good news, in my opinion, about them fucking up the country as bad as they are right now is I think they're going to get their ass handed to them in the midterms. And I think they're going to get their asses handed to them
and they know.
In 2024.
They're already preparing for that. But
they're going to get, I hope they get mowed over, but they may not, but who fucking knows? Don't underestimate how stupid people are either. Okay?
You can't.
As I've got older,
We've learned that so much. All right, so I want to take kind of a left turn here because we're talking about some things that I think are really interesting from like a philosophical standpoint. Mm-hmm. And one thing I've learned is there's only a few people like in our industry as a whole that you can really go that deep into conversation with, because most things are surface level. You would agree with that, but that's not really your whole thing, right? But don't you think, like, if you're searching for somebody to, let's say, be a friend with, spend time with, learn something from, that you're going to have to weed through a bunch of bullshit, and it's very hard to find someone authentic. So don't you think that authenticity is probably the most important thing, which is also the thing people don't like about you? If they don't like you, which most people do because of that authenticity, because people crave real. People want real because we're shoved, our faces are shoved in phony, in fake. You get that in the horse world so much. Everybody just tells you what they want to hear. If you have money, they want you to spend it with them. So they're going to tell you whatever the fuck you want to hear. If you're a world champion, they're going to tell you whatever the fuck they want you to hear. So you'll take the picture with them, or you'll do this. Yeah. So, like, for you, for instance, like, what do you do to find authentic people to spend your time with? Because there's just no way that you're hanging out with a bunch of fake people. Not with how I know how you are. Yeah,
I have a lot of. I think as you get older, you figure out you have very few friends in life, but you have a lot of acquaintances. So I always say this: if you're in your life, if you could count 2 or 3 people on one hand, that if your fucking house burnt down in the middle of the night and you had to go to them and say, "Man, I need $300,000. You know, I need this, I need that," would actually give it to you, no questions asked, or drive across the country to save your ass, you're few and far between. So a lot of people, most friendships, I'll say it, it's fucking ugly, but it is the truth. Most friendships are $1 fucking deep, okay? And once I got over that initial butt hurt from people of fucking you over dollars, I kind of just accepted what the rules are. Sometimes you got to get a few fucking bloody noses to figure out how the playground works, okay? So most friendships are $1 fucking deep. Now that I know what those rules are, okay, I'll give you a perfect example about business and life and shit, okay? Years ago, I was into all this team building bullshit with Downunder Horsemanship and the human pyramids, and we're all one big happy fucking family and kumbaya and all this team building bullshit, okay? I spent fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars building this culture. And I said to a buddy of mine, I said, "Oh yeah, I'm doing all this team building shit and blah, blah, blah." And I made a comment, and this guy I was talking to had a construction business with about 180 employees, did about $52 million a year in gross sales. And I made a comment to this guy, and I said, "Oh yeah, my employees love me." And this guy starts laughing. And he said, "No, they don't, Clinton. They fucking hate you." And I said, no, you know, you don't understand. I give them extra vacation time. I take care of their kids. You know, I whatever they want, I give it to them. Like, I'm a big part of their life and their personal life. I'm a team builder. No. And he said, "No, actually, Clinton, they fucking hate your guts. They just act like they like you when you're around." And I thought this guy was just kind of bitter and old and, you know, didn't know the new age fucking, you know, way. And a couple of years after that, I almost went bankrupt. First year in my whole career, but I lost money. I grossed $14 million that year and lost $375,000 the same year. And that was the only year I've ever lost money in business. And I almost go bankrupt. Well, when word gets out that I'm kind of upside down financially, these people that I thought had my back, they fucking ran off my business like Titanic, like drowned rats. I mean, they jumped off my boat like nobody's business. I mean, people had been with me for years. They even smell that I'm in trouble. They're quitting jobs, getting new jobs, etc. That taught me a very fucking valuable lesson. And he was right. That guy that told me that, no, they actually did hate my guts. They just acted like they liked me when they were around me. Once I got over that butt hurt, because I thought we were family, motherfucker. I'm one of my negative is I'm almost loyal to the death. You get in a bar fight and fights are swinging, I'm swinging with you. Now, when the fight's over, I might say, "What the fuck was all that about?" I don't even know what the fight was in, but if I'm on your team, I'm fucking in it to the end. I've got a little bit of a bad habit of being in it almost too loyal. You know what I mean? Rather than asking, why are we having a fight? But I'm all in it. Well, once I realized that, okay, if you motherfuckers want to play by this rule, that's okay. But if I get a chance to fire you for 50 cents an hour less, I'm going to do that too. So now I got my big boy pants on. Now that I know what the rules are, that you really don't give a fuck about me and you really don't give a fuck about my company, that's fine. I'm all good with it. I'll play by the rules. But I'm also going to play by the rules of if I need to fire you on Christmas Eve, I'll do that too. If you're going to play by that was a big old slap in my fucking face that reality is 9 out of 10 employees will do what you inspect, not expect. That's the number one rule in business. 9 out of 10 will do what you inspect, not expect. So when they know you're not going to inspect their work, when they know you're not going to check up on them, they'll run amok. 1 out of 10 won't. but 9 will. So once I got over that butt hurt, then it made a lot easier to do business because I just knew what the rules were. I was playing by a different set of fucking rules. I was playing by a set of rules that when you're down and out, motherfucker, and your kid's got cancer and I write you a check for $50,000 for hospital bills thinking you got my back, and then 2 months later you get a job offer that pays you $1 an hour more and you quit me? Oh, you sorry piece of shit. Okay. And that's happened to me before. I've done shit like that before where I've really got, people's parents have died. They don't have enough money for funerals. I've wrote the funeral checks and done whatever I could for them because they've been good employees. And then 2 months later, they'll fucking quit me for $1 an hour more. Yeah, that's fucking shitty. But now that I know what the fucking rules are, I'm okay with it. So to get back to your question, I can accept friends now. When I say friends, acquaintances that are counterfeit. I know they're counterfeit, but I use them for entertainment. I might know they're full of shit. I might know they don't believe most of the shit they say. But if they're funny, and here's my rule now at my stage of my life. You can't do it when you're your age, and I'll tell you why. Well, you can do it, and you can't do it for your friends, but you can do it for more business. I have a rule that says, I ask myself, everybody that I interact with, am I getting positive energy from this person? Anytime me and you interacting right now, when I walk out of this building, like I did last time, if I feel like I got positive energy from being around you, I enjoyed your company, I enjoyed the conversation, I enjoyed the experience, I'm going to do it again. If I didn't enjoy the positive energy, or you drained me, you just fucking, I was like an emotional tampon for you, and you just fucking spewed your shit all over me, and I sat here and drunk and let you verbally vomit all over me, I'm never going to see you again. So I ask this question to myself every day, for every person I'm thinking of. Do I get, as a general rule, positive energy from being around this person? If the answer is yes, I interact with them more. If the answer is no, I cut them out of my life. Now that I'm retired, it's easy for me to do that. But when you're your age and you're trying to build an empire and most customers that you do business with are fucking annoying. They're really annoying, but you need their money, so you suck their dick. Like I'll go up to, when I buy a suit, I'll go to Brioni in New York, okay? I'll buy an $11,000 suit. This Italian salesman that's there is a great salesman. I mean, he's old school Italian, fucking caters to me like nobody's business. I mean, these motherfuckers have got down 5-star service to no degree. He'll make me feel like $1 million.
That's Europeans, like European business owners. For some reason, they understand.
He's just old school, school work ethic, old school, just catered to a customer. Well, I'll walk out of that suit, out of that Brioni store with $11,000 suit, and I'll think to myself, man, that salesman, Edwin, he really likes me. And then I'll immediately catch myself and I'll chuckle and I'll think to myself, no, Clinton, he fucking hates your guts. This is a job for him. He has to kiss your ass because you just bought an $11,000 suit. He's got a family to feed, and if he's not nice to you, you're not going to spend that kind of money. So I'll catch myself thinking, man, I think he really likes me. He's a cool guy. And he is a cool guy. But more than likely, he probably hates my guts. But now that I'm older, I just don't get butthurt by it now. You might say I'm jaded, but I just know what the rules to life are now. So if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I want to be treated with great service. If you're going to sell me a $200 suit, you probably can treat me like a piece of shit. I'm not going to care. But here's the deal. Even though I know that more than likely he probably hates my guts and he thinks, you piece of shit, I'd rather be home with my family right now. As long as he treats me good when I'm in front of him and picks up the phone when I have a problem with the suit or I need some tailoring done to it, as long as he gives me 5-star service, I don't give a shit if he likes me or not. It's that simple. You could call me jaded now. I don't give a fuck. So I have different friends that I know are full of shit, but if I get positive energy from being around them, I keep being around them. If I don't get positive energy from being around them, I'm not around them. But when you're building a business and building an empire, at least when it's a money transaction, you don't have the ability to say no to a lot of that. Because let's face it, a lot of people you interact with are a pain in the ass. But if they weren't paying you, you wouldn't see them again. You wouldn't even deal with them. But the fact that they're paying you makes you kiss their ass. It's called business. But people have asked me before, they said, what's the greatest thing about being retired, Clinton? They think it's the money. The money's nice. But I tell you what it is more than anything, it's the fucking freedom. It's the freedom to not fuck with idiots. It's the freedom to not hang around with douchebags if you don't need to. Like Kristen, I help her with her investment. She buys a rental house every year for 10 years. In 10 years, she'll have 10 more rental homes built up for her retirement. She'll retire with $120,000 a year for the rest of her life. And somebody's going to pay those mortgages for 20 years. She's not paying them. Every year she buys a new rental house that somebody pays it off. That's her investment. So when she gets retired, she doesn't have to suck anybody's dick. That's the whole point. That's the greatest thing about being retired is you get to choose who you do business with. So when Riley called me up and said, you want to come back and do another podcast? I thought, yeah, I had a great experience. Cool guys, fun, so I'll do it again. If I had a miserable time last time, I wouldn't come back again. That's the greatest thing about being retired. And that's why I encourage all young people, work your ass off, save your fucking money, invest your fucking money. Be thinking about one day, do you want to keep doing what you're doing and dealing with the people that you're dealing with? And if you've got enough money, the answer is no, I'm not going to fuck with these people. But if you don't have enough money, you have to keep sucking their dick. You have to keep putting up with their bullshit. When you really like to tell the customer to fuck off, you got to say, yes, sir, I can't wait to make that correction for you. I'll have that out first thing tomorrow morning. And in the back of your mind, you're like, I'd like to smother you with a fucking pillow. But you can't say that because you're broke. So when you're younger, you do a hell of a lot of dick sucking. And that's why I tell people in their 20s and 30s, but especially 20s, work your ass off. You will never have a decade in your life, in your 20s, that you will be the Energizer Bunny. That is the decade that you just get a lot of shit done. Well, you should. Now, you can fuck off a lot too. If you fuck off a lot in that first decade, you got to catch it up. Once I turned 40, I'm 46 now, but I don't have anywhere near the energy now that I had in my 20s and 30s. 20s and 30s, I was like the Energizer Bunny. I was like crazy. A 14-hour day was nothing for me. 6-7 days a week, I just knock it out. But I'm sure as shit I did all that early because now I couldn't do that anymore. Maybe I could, and I don't know it, but I don't have to do it, so why would I bother? You know what I mean? Why would I bother doing a 14-hour day if I don't need to?
But that's all that there is in life, right? We get this finite amount of time on this, like this. Can either be a real shitty rock or can be a real nice, comfortable rock. And it all hinges on what you do with your time and how you approach life. I find it really interesting kind of to hear like some of these microtransactions that you're just briefly mentioning with the people that you used to work for you. I feel like you're a really sentimental guy.
I was loyal to a fault. I mean, I fucking took care of their kids and funerals and you name it, extra vacation, paid them through everything they wanted. I mean, I was too far the other way, I was too far the other way, but a little bit, and same with money. I got fucked the biggest on money. When you're a very honest person and you're raised honestly, here's the negative of that. You don't think there's crooks out there. Like I had about $1.6 million stolen from me from accountants, okay? And because I wasn't checking their work. I wasn't checking up on them as much. I thought if you were paying somebody $140,000 a year to be your accountant, they should be ethical and not steal from you. Bullshit.
It's the most common fraud there is
if I could go
fraud.
back to a 20-year-old Clinton, what I tell myself now in business is number one rule that you never forget, employees will do what you inspect, not expect. Not all of them, but 9 out of 10, okay? And when you do find the one that will do what you expect, even if you don't inspect it, pay them really well because they're valuable, they're rare, they're like diamonds. Treat them unbelievably and take good care of them because they're so rare. And the next biggest advice I give myself is check the money, Clinton. Make sure they know you're checking the money. Sign your own checks. Open your own mail. Do your checks and balances with the fucking money. But I was raised, stealing's bad. You don't steal. You don't be around stealing people. And so a little bit of the negative being raised like that is you don't think kind of scammy. You don't fucking think about how you're going to work a deal to steal $100 out of that lady's purse. Your mind's not kind of wired like that. You're almost gullible. And that's really what I was for quite a few years in business, is I was way too fucking gullible. That was just the money I knew that got stolen from me. The amount of money that would have got stolen from me that I never would even know about would be fucking mind-boggling. Okay, so those two things were for sure I'd tell myself is check the money, always double-check the money, and make sure people know you're double-checking the money, okay? And always know employees will do what you inspect, not necessarily expect. So inspect everything. They're two of the biggest fuck-ups I had. But, the 20 to 30 decade is the decade for young people to work their ass off, build their careers, get good at their profession because you're the Energizer Bunny. The problem with 20 to 30 is, unless you've got some good mentors in your life and people mentoring you, you're so fucking stupid you don't know what to do with yourself. You know what I mean? You've got so much energy, you just running in fucking 1,000 circles and don't even know. Now, when you get over 40, 45, you start valuing every little bit of energy that you pull out. You start asking, is this worth it, what I'm going to do here? So, and let's face it, there's only 2 decades in your life that you're going to change so dramatically. A 10-year-old boy or girl is not the same as a 20-year-old boy or girl. So that decade from 10 to 20, you make some major fucking changes in your life, physically, mentally, etc. But the next biggest change in your life is from 20 to 30. 20-year-old, what your goals are at 20 and how you think is typically nowhere even close to what you are when you're 30. That's why I tell young people, don't get fucking married or have babies or any of that stupid shit before 30. That's the decade to figure out who you are. That's the decade to figure out what you like, what you don't like, what you are. Work hard, save your money, build your careers, get focused on what you want to be proficient at. Because there'll be another decade where you'll have that much energy. I'm not saying don't do some fucking and don't do some partying, okay? But really focus on your career then. And don't get married and don't fucking have kids because they're life-changing things. Sure, you can get divorced, but it's real fucking expensive. I've done that. And most of the stuff I tell people not to do, I'm not a hypocrite. I fucked it up. But the only difference is I didn't have anybody telling me not to fuck it up. And I'm not even sure if I would have listened to them because I'm pretty pig-headed. But I sure would have liked somebody sitting me down here that I respected and said, hey, Clinton, don't fuck up in these ways. I had to kind of learn this the hard way. Now, after 30, you want to get married and knock out fucking 18 kids, knock yourself out, become Amish, or I give a fuck. But not before 30 because you don't know who you are before 30. You fucking think you do when you're 22, but you really don't fucking know who you are until. And every decade you change. I was different at 40 than what I was at 30. I'm 46 now. By the time I get to 50, I'll be different again. You know what I mean? So you're changing throughout your whole life. That's why me personally, I'm not a proponent of marriage at all. I'll never get married again. I think it's a crock of shit. Till death do us part. So that means in 10 years, if you quit giving me pussy, we're still supposed to stay married together? I'm supposed to stay married to a person for 30 years that if you turn into a raging hormonal bitch, I'm still supposed to stick with you? Or you turn into a guy turns into a drug addict, I'm supposed to stick with you? What a load of shit. You know, marriage is on the decline now for the first time in history. There's less people getting married now than any time during history. 100 years now, you won't see people getting married at all. Because we've figured out it's a crock of fucking shit. Now, all the conservatives get pissed off at me when I say this kind of shit, but fuck them, it is what it is. You know what I mean? You know, people think because you stay married for 50 years, people liked each other. There was a lot of people stay married 50 years that fucking hated each other.
Well, marriage is a construct that was created to keep society together.
It wasn't built to make people. Marriage was not designed to make people happy. It was built through some necessity. How do we survive? Now, in the last 100 years, well, 50, 60 at least, marriage is supposed to make you happy. So we've got a vehicle that was designed to keep you alive, reproduce, and produce good citizens. It wasn't designed to make you happy. It wasn't designed for happy ever after or survive. It was designed to get a roof over your fucking head, make some kids, and breed. You know what I mean? Now people are looking for happiness out of marriage, and it doesn't fucking work. Okay? You know, would you get on a plane where you have a 50-50 chance of that plane crashing? Would you get on a plane then?
You wouldn't.
I wouldn't, but people get married all the time. There's a more than a 50% chance it's going to crash and burn. Second marriage is 65% chance of getting burned. You know what I mean? So why the fuck would you do it? Especially as a man, there's no benefit to a man getting fucking married. There's lots of benefits to women getting married, but not men. Men, you get fucking chopped in 3/4 if you like it or not. Okay, but so I'm not, you know, I'm just saying that just don't fuck up that first decade from 20 to 30. Work your ass off, get your shit together, develop your skill set, become valuable, become such a fucking asset that your boss will never fire you. Become such a fucking asset that your boss only has a choice but to give you a raise every year. You're that valuable to him.
I mean,
I've never fired anybody that was worth a fuck. You know why? Because people that are worth a fuck are really valuable.
Because they're rare.
Okay, so if you want to, you know, people talk about job security. You know what the best fucking job security is? Show up and do a good job. That's how you keep a job. Show up and do a good job. And if you don't like your boss, replace your boss. Be better than your fucking boss. Start your own fucking business. You don't like working for somebody? I was never built to work for people. I've known that my whole life. I work for people to develop my trade, my skill set, but I'm just kind of a born do-it-myself, blaze my own path. I think that's either in people or it's not. I don't know if you can make people be that way or not, but I've always been like that. But if you don't want, here's the deal. People think if you're your own business owner that you don't have to suck any dick anymore. No. The dick sucking just changed. It changes into sucking customers' dick. You just suck other people's dick. Bankers' dicks, all kinds of dicks. Fucking bankers, I hate them. First year I lost money that year. I lost $375,000. First year ever. Paid my mortgages, paid my interest rates, paid everything my whole career. Never missed one payment. First year I lost money. Still didn't miss a payment, mind you. First year I lose money. Fucking Wells Fargo come on in and you try to tell me how to run my business. You cocksuckers. I haven't missed one fucking payment, and you're trying to walk in here and tell me how to run a business, and I have one little bump in the road? 20 years and you want to tell me how to run a business? I fucking hate bankers. So as much as I can never borrow money, I never borrow money.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to build up to that. Speaking as somebody, I didn't have any money when I started my business.
You got to borrow it.
I borrowed all of it.
Yes.
The only way I was able to is because, I had never missed any payments. So I had enough credit that I could borrow money to start businesses. Just like you, I haven't worked for anybody since I was 23. So
I think also think when you're younger, you have a lot more energy, so your tolerance for dickheads is much higher. You tolerate a lot more bullshit when you're younger because you've just got more energy.
But it's a skill. Like you...
Oh, Dick said it's a skill.
You might not like it, but the most successful people in the world, that's true, it is a skill. Yeah. Well, it's very obvious that some are more skilled at it based on their attire.
That's all right. I love it.
But it's one of those things that, like, your average person, they don't have it. They don't understand that transaction and why sometimes the best way to get through the early years of your career or the launch of something is to be a good fucking actor. Act your ass off. You might hate it, but at some point, your goal is to get to where you don't have to. Like where you're at now. Yes. That's the goal, because you only have this one shot. All right, yeah, I understand if we're Christians, like, yeah, God, all that's a great thing. But as far as what you know for a fact, your day-to-day, you get one shot at this shit.
Oh, yeah.
You do. So if you have to spend 10 years to set up the next 40, you better fucking do it right.
You got two choices in life. I don't know if I said this last time I was in here. If I did, correct me. In life, I feel like you have two choices. You either party the first half of your life till you get to 45. So from 20 to 45, it's drugs, sex, and rock and roll, and you only do things that are fun, and you fuck off your money. You live for today. And then when you get to 45, you realize, I have no savings. I have no retirement. I'm kind of fucked. I'm kind of older. My body's aching now. And you are forced to work to the day you drop dead. You are forced to work to the day you're in a coffin. You have no choice because you have no money saved up by 45, okay? Or you do what I did, and a lot of people do, is you work your ass off to 45, and then hopefully you've invested your money good enough, paid attention to your money, saved your money, that now you get to fuck off the second half of your life. So in my mind, I plan to be dead by 60. Okay, I'm 46 now. So I plan to be dead by 60. So I'm going to really fuck off the next 14 years or whatever of my life. You know why? I've had a lot of my close friends die between 60 and 65. A lot of men die of heart attacks. A lot of people die between 60 and 65. It'd be nice to say I'm going to live to 70, 80, 90, but there's no promise on that. So I'm going to act like I'm going to be dead by 60. So you're sure as shit I'm going to start enjoying the next fucking 15 years of my life to make sure I get it. Now, I feel bad for the guys that worked their ass off their whole life, finally get to retired, and a year after retirement, they get cancelled. They get run over by a bus. That fucking sucks. When somebody says to me they retired, I really shake their hand and thank them and say, congratulations. And I really sincerely mean it because they've worked their ass off to get to retirement. So pick your battle. You either work hard the first half and hopefully live long enough to fuck off the second half, or you fuck off the first half and you will be forced to work the second half. So pick your poison.
Well, so that's a really interesting point because I've thought about this so much. And I'll ask you this question. Let's say you go option A. Here's the awful fucking part about living for today. Today becomes yesterday. And let's say this. Let's say you go on this amazing vacation. You spend 30, 40 grand. You go.
Let me just stop you. I got to take this jacket off. 1 second.
Are you sure you want to? It's kind of an identity thing.
It's kind of hot as fucking.
Yeah, but what am I going to joke about now?
I don't know. You'll find something. Right, what were you saying?
All right, so we go back and paint this picture one more time. Let's say you live option A. You laid out the first plan, right? You have two options in life. Yeah. Plan one, you lay this whole thing out and you live for today every fucking day. Here's the problem. If you've done that even just for a little bit, today becomes fucking yesterday, and yesterday means nothing. Right? Like, so people will say, well, I get to sit back and I get to have all these memories. I don't know if you're like me, but memories don't go that far for me. You know what does is striving for something. Like the idea of what the future holds, getting to that point or reaching for something is so much more valuable than having done something, to me anyway. Because when today becomes yesterday, it's oblivion. It's gone. There's nothing to that. So you live for today. Today becomes yesterday. That is not as valuable as what tomorrow could possibly be, at least in my mind.
I think most go-getters, people that are like me, like you, that are driven, like I didn't mention this last time, but I'm a big believer in this thing called the color code, or they call it the people code. And it basically divides people's personalities into 4 different color codes: red, blue, white, and yellow. And not to get into it, but you can read the books and audios, and it's a phenomenal deal. And I wish I would have known this 20 years ago, but I'm a red, and reds are dominated by power. We're the ones that build the bridges, build the skyscrapers, make shit happen. But here's the negative is, remember I told you, whatever your greatest strength as a human is also your greatest weakness. It can't be either way. Like a perfect example, if you're a real laid back person that's not offensive, won't say the shit I'll say, everybody likes you, etc. You're just, you never start a fight, never politically incorrect, you're never opinionated, etc. You know these type of people I'm talking about, okay? I've got several friends like it. Here's the negative though. That's a great strength. You don't make a lot of enemies. But you know what the back of the hand is? You know what your weakness is? You get fuck all done in life.
And those people
don't build fucking bridges. They don't build the skyscrapers. Now, people like me and you and driven people, which is a red category, I'm in the red category, driven by power, will build the skyscraper, we'll build the bridge, but we'll sure as shit run over a few people on the way there. But the problem with my color code being a red, I'm like 60% red, 24% yellow, 14% blue, and I got no white in me, which is the patience part. But the problem with reds is we build the bridges, but we never take the time to look back at it. We never take the time to turn around and appreciate what we built or admire it, because we move on to the next deal, the next project. And this might sound a little fucking gay, but I'll say it anyway. The last couple of years, I've started to look back on my career just a little bit. In fact, Kristen was the one that kind of got me thinking like that. Like we have this thing on the company called the X Drive, where we put all of our important documents on this particular part of the website and stuff that we've collected over the years. And she went through it one day and she said, the amount of work that you guys have documented and got here is unbelievable. And she said it could not be done again, not for at least 20 years. And I got to thinking about that, and when I retired, I've never done this before in my life. When I retired, I went and bought a brand new Porsche 911 Turbo S, paid $230,000 for it. I drove that I paid cash for it. I drove that fucking thing home, and when I parked it, I'd never done this in my whole career ever. I just walked around that car for 10 minutes. I'd never done this in my whole life. Bought something and really just took the time to think about what it took to get this. And I thought about all the old ladies that I had to suck their dick. I thought about all the bullshit I had to put up with. I thought about all the late nights and fucking stress and worrying about money and fucking travel and all the shit I had to do. And it just sunk in that I bought that as a present for me for retiring. And I love that fucking car. Love it to death. But I took the time to just appreciate it and know what it took to get it. I've never done that in my career ever before. Because again, reds are always building the next fucking door. Look, you can take this color code test. It costs like $40. It's called the color code. A guy called Taylor Hartman, I think his name is. He's got audio books on it and books, and it's phenomenal. And now when I meet people, I can typically, like, you're another red, you're a red and a yellow. You'd probably be very similar to me if you took the color code test. And for $42, it makes you answer a bunch of questions as if you were a kid, not as an adult. Because when you're kids, you're actually truthful.
Right.
You know, when your mother says to an 8-year-old, "Do I look fat in the dress?" The kid says, "Yeah, Mum, you're fat as fuck." You know, you look. You know, when you get to be adults, you learn to lie. "No, honey, you don't look fat. In fact, I think you fucking lost weight." You get what I'm saying? As adults, we learn to lie, but when you're kids, that's why kids say funny shit, because they're truthful. But then they get shamed for that as they get older, and they learn to kind of lie a little bit to protect people's feelings. So you take this color code test and you answer the questions as if you're a kid, and it gives you a lot of understanding of why you are the way you are. It doesn't change. It doesn't stop you being frustrated by other people's dumb shit, but at least makes you understand why they act the way they act. You know what I mean? So yellow personalities, they're driven by fun. Everything they do is about fun. If it's not fun, they don't want to fuck with it. Blues, their personality is driven by intimacy. They care. They give a fuck. They are attention to detail. They're the perfect employee. You know what I mean? And then whites are driven by peace. They don't want any trouble. They're like the water that goes around the rocks. Okay, they don't want trouble. Okay, they like to be left alone on a desert island. Now, we're all mutts. We're all a combination of all the colors typically, but you have one color that dominates you more than anything. So me being 60% red is the dominant, build shit, make shit happen. The 24% yellow is the charismatic, tell funny jokes, life of the party. That's the fun guy. 14% is blue, which is the attention to detail. Now, I have no white. Whites are driven by patience. So you can tell why I am the way I am now. I have no fucking patience. I don't care if I offend people. Well, that's why. See, a white personality, if you said to a white personality, do you like my cup? A white personality guy would say, you know, let me look, what do you think of it? And if you say, I like it, he'll say, yeah, I like it too. He'll always hedge the bet. Mm-hmm. He'll never take the risk of saying, I think your cup looks fucking shitty. He'll never say that because he's worried about offending you. Does that make sense? He's motivated by peace. So now that I know the color code, usually when I meet people within a 30-minute conversation, I can typically guess what dominant color they are. I might not know the percentages of the other colors, but I can tell where they're coming from. So you're a red. You're driven. You're an entrepreneur. You want to make shit happen. You like listening to people that know more than you. You like to make money. That's a red. They're driven. You can't help. It's why my sister is a white. She's the opposite of me. Kind person, quiet person, but she's not driven like me. That doesn't make her wrong and me right. We came out of the same fucking womb, but we're completely fucking opposites. My parents wanted to fucking beat me every day and hang me because I drove them nuts. My sister was the perfect fucking child. Same genetics, same mother and father, complete opposites. That's why people are born with their personalities. Now, environment can change it to a point. If you're abused or had a good childhood, I'm not saying that does not affect it some. It does. But we have an innate ability to be who we are. Now, there's lots of different tests like the Myers-Briggs, and there's a billion of them out there, and I've done them all. And a lot of them are very good. The thing I like about this color code test is that it makes it fucking simple. It kind of reminds me of Downunder Horsemanship. I told you last time I was in here, I wasn't better than the other clinicians. I just made it simple. I made millions by making it easy for people to understand. I didn't reinvent the fucking world. I just made it so everybody could understand it, and I kept shit simple. So the old saying, keep it simple, stupid, is real fucking true. That's kind of what I think of the color code, is that it just makes human language real simple. So if I want a salesman, I'm going to pick a yellow salesman. You know why yellows? Because everybody loves them. They're fun. How you doing? Great to see you, mate. Good to see. How's the wife doing? They're just likable motherfuckers. They'll sell anything. The greatest salesman in the world. But the problem is they'll never get you to sign the contract because they're too fucking stupid to follow up. They're moving on to the next sale. You know what I mean? You better follow up with a blue secretary because she'll make sure the contract gets signed. She'll make sure she collects the money. She'll make sure the money gets to the accountant. Does that make sense? But don't have a blue salesman, because when you ask a blue salesman, what do you think of this car? Blues can't lie. They're like, it's not very good. It kind of falls apart. The reviews are kind of shitty. You ask a yellow, what do you think of this car? Fuck yeah, it's a great car. It's flying off the racks. So now what I know is I put people in the right roles now. Does that make sense? My writer and editor, Rochelle, she's been with me 15 years. She's a white. She loves to be left alone in a cubicle all day. That would drive me fucking insane, not talking to anybody all day, being in front of a computer. But she loves a job because she has a red boss, which basically Reds, we don't like to do everything, but we like to tell every other motherfucker what to do. So we like to delegate shit, but we don't actually like to do a lot ourselves, as far as we don't like to micromanage. Does that make sense? We don't micromanage.
We like self-starters.
So I tell Rochelle, hey, this is what needs to be done. And she gets it done. If she has a problem, she'll call me. But I don't micromanage her. And for a white personality, she loves that because whites hate being poked at. Leave me alone. Don't keep poking at me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, blues are horrible managers because they give a fuck. You know, reds have got to be managers because if you're not doing your job, they put a boot up your ass. Get going. If you don't want to be hated, don't be a manager. So reds make great managers. Yellows make great salesmen. Whites make great people, accountants, and people that like to be left alone and fucking nerdy and just kind of left in a job and could survive on a desert island without anybody being around. You know what I mean? So once I knew how the color code worked, I worked people out very quickly. Now, it still doesn't stop people from disappointing you from time to time or acting stupid, but you at least kind of know where it comes from now. You know why they do the things.
And how to handle it.
And how to handle it, yes. So like with a blue, their attention to detail, intimacy. Okay? So a blue is going to take absolute detailed notes of the meeting. Fucking 10 pages of notes. So me being a red, when I go to the blue and say, tell me what happened in the meeting. A blue wants to read me every fucking sentence on that paper. Read the whole thing to me. But as a red, I just want the bullet points, motherfucker. Who got fired? Who kept their job? How much was the money? And what are we going to do moving forward? But if you say that to a blue, they get all butthurt because they've just written fucking 10 pages of notes. So what you've got to say is, listen, I really appreciate all the notes you've taken, very, very detailed. Would you mind giving them to me? But before you give them to me, would you just highlight the most important parts of it? And I'll read them first, and then I'm going to go through and read everything, which is a lie, which is really what I'm saying is I'm just going to read the highlighted part. When you're not looking, I'm not going to read any of the rest of it. But you can't fucking tell them that because they start crying and they get upset and they get pissed off because they put so much time into their notes. Does that make sense?
No,
but now that I know how blues think, I try my best, not always, to walk with their personality just a little bit and make sure I don't rub them the wrong fucking way as best I can. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I would have known the color code 20 years ago, I think it would have made a big difference to my business, would have made a lot more money because I would have had the right people in the right jobs based on their color code.
Yeah, no, I'm going for it as soon as I get done with this.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
already,
books. There's
I'm
a
already
couple of books
breaking
on it.
down who's what in my
couple of books on it.
organizations.
There's some audio tapes that I bought on it. I've listened to it a dozen times.
Yeah, so let me go like way, way back and ask you a question, right? Because you said, you're talking about the 911, great car, by the way.
It's a fucking awesome car.
Yeah, anything Porsche turns out is great.
I got a new
They just came
Porsche.
out with that Cayman GT4 RS.
That's what I'm getting.
My
That's
God.
what I got. I'm getting it in
Yeah.
March.
Yep. That's
Not the
car.
blue one. I got the Porsche Cayenne GTS, but it got it all tricked out. I should have got the blue one, but I didn't know it was available.
Yeah, that
that's
new
the
blue
GT.
color?
Yeah, that blue color with the gold rims.
In the GT3?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
That's
the car.
really good. It's going to give that Lamborghini SUV a run for its money.
Yep.
Yeah, Porsche, just attention to detail, their craftsmanship to their salesmen. They know how to take care of people.
They do. And the best thing about Porsche is everybody's going to this, they're going to this electric car bullshit, and Porsche's like, no, let's make the combustion engine better.
Oh, yeah.
Porsche's one of the greatest companies on this planet.
They are.
Yeah, and horse people, well, the people who own a lot of the horses know about them. It's not the people riding them.
Yeah.
It's a great car. But so I wanted to ask you this, right? Because this is why I like having you on, because I just shut the fuck up and absorb what you're saying, because I know I'm going to learn something. And I bring people on here that I can learn something from, because that's the most important thing you can do.
When I was on airports, I flew for 20-something years.
Right.
For the first 10 years, I would sit beside somebody in an airplane. You'd be shocked how much free information you get from them.
Yeah.
If I noticed they had a little money, I'd look at their shoes, look at their watch. You can figure out very quickly how much money
Watch is
somebody's
the first
got.
place I always look.
Shoes and watch. So if I figured out somebody had a little bit of money, I'd start a conversation with them, and I'd pick their brain about business, life, etc. I got so many fucking hundreds of business hours of free information sitting on planes. I'm sitting beside this cocksucker anyway, so I might as well listen to him and see if I can learn something. One of the most valuable lessons I got from this guy, a businessman, he said to me, because he could tell I was young and hungry and wanted to get ahead, and he said, the hardest thing about being a businessman and making money is you have to run so hard to be successful in your business that right before you fall off the edge of the cliff, you got to pull back and stop. And I said, well, what do you mean by fall off the cliff? What does that mean? He said it means getting divorced. You don't know who your kids are. Your kids fucking hate you. You go bankrupt, etc. But he said the trick is most of us have to fall off the cliff once to know where the cliff even is. Yeah, most people that have been very rich have gone bankrupt at least once, sometimes twice. Because people that are really rich are eccentric. They push the line. They push the envelope. I'm one of them. So when you run the car that fucking hard, you will run off the road from time to time and smash it and crash it up. And then you get back in the next car and say, okay, I better take that fucking corner just a little bit slower in the next one. But what he was saying is true in theory, but often when I got bankrupt and I almost lost myself, it really humbled me to step back and say, okay, I got too big, I got too many employees, I didn't pay attention to the money, blah, 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 blah. And I rebalanced that. And now that I got smaller, I make a lot more money now, smaller with 8 employees and whatever I did when I got to 40.
Yeah,
but I
less
was in
revenue,
that,
higher margin always wins.
I was in that bigger dick syndrome. I said to a buddy of mine, I said, why do we as men think that big is better? Why do we have to get 20 employees and then 50 employees and then 100? He said, Clinton, I just think when you're younger, you just got bigger dick syndrome. You think everything's got to get better when you get bigger. I used to think the gross number was the number to pay attention. Now I pay attention to the net.
It's always
I don't
net.
give a fuck. I'm embarrassed and ashamed that I grossed $14 million that year and lost $375,000 the same year. That's disgusting. Embarrassing. I'll say it, I admit it. That's what people like. They say, Clinton, you shit your pants? Yeah, goddamn, I shit it more than a 3-year-old. You know, everybody shits their pants. So we're all fucking human. So quit dancing around that you're not human and admit what your faults are. So it got away from me too bad. Now, I actually make a lot more money now with 8 employees. Net, way more money now and way less stress than what I ever did when I had fucking 40. You know what I mean? So some might argue you had to get big before you can get small. I'm going to say, I'm not going to say you're right or wrong on that, but I sure shit like being small now compared to big because it was just a lot more fucking headaches. But you can get a bunch of free information off people if you're just willing to ask people questions.
Yeah. So here's the question, right? Because you said something that you were able to do. For the life of me, I can't figure out how to do it. Like, how the fuck do you look back and appreciate anything? I'm not capable. I'm not capable of even looking back and reflecting. I can look back and reflect on bad things, but I have not for 1 ounce, for 1 minute been able to look back and like just be like, man, that was great. I can look back and say, fuck, that was horrible, but there's just no way to look back and like appreciate anything.
Well, remember, that's the weakness of Reds. Remember, Reds are the bridge builders, but we never take the time to walk back over the bridge. How old are you?
I just turned 30 this year.
Yeah, so you're still in that fucking bigger dick syndrome. You're still in wanting to dominate the world, okay? When you get to about 40, things kind of change a little bit. When I hit 40, I felt very guilty that I didn't want to make more money. When I turned 40, this would have been 3 years before I retired, officially retired. If I retired when I was 43, I always had a goal to retire by 40. I missed it by 3 years, got a couple fucked up and a couple of divorces, but I missed it by 3 years. But at 40, I didn't want to make any more money. I've always been driven, make more money, push harder, push harder. Well, when you're in that zone like that and you're in it at your age, you don't look back because you don't have time to look back. You don't want to look back. You want to look at the future. A good friend of mine, Ken Bray, he owns Equa Brand. He's been a great friend of mine and a good mentor for me for most of my life. A couple of times when I've been fucking about ready to kill myself, he's caught me off the bridge. And I called him up and I said, I feel a lot of guilt about I don't want to make more money now. I'm not driven by money anymore. And he said, that's okay, Clinton. You don't have to be. You built an empire. Start enjoying the empire. And I think I had to have him kind of give me permission that it's okay not to be driving, making more. My whole existence is about building, making more money. And I needed somebody that I respected to say, it's okay just to enjoy your empire now. So then, you know, I'm not saying the guilt left me immediately, but over the next 3 years, I planned my retirement. So it took 3 years for me to get retired. Why does it take 3 years? There's a lot of shit to throw off the boat. When you have a big fucking Titanic and you try to get that down to be a speedboat, which is kind of what I am now, I'm pretty nimble, you got to throw a lot of shit off that damn boat. So it took 3 years to sell the ranch, you know, let go of employees, get a lot smaller, you know, move things around. When you get to be Titanic, you don't make sharp U-turns. You make very slow turns to get around the other way. When you're a fucking speedboat, you can do a U-turn in no time. And when, like I said, when I finally retired, I bought that car, and that's why I told you, call me gay for saying it, but it was kind of a little emotional for me, but I took the time to just look at that car and appreciate how I could pay for it, why I bought it, and I thought about all this fucking dick sucking I had to do to get it. And that's the first time. So you might ask me why you don't do that. Because you're not 40 fucking 3. When you get over 40, maybe it's testosterone lowering in your body. You just are not, especially 45 for sure. And I'm not saying that's old. It's not. But I think most guys that can say they're over 45 can appreciate what I'm saying right now. You're just not as dominant as you used to be. Shit that used to annoy me and drive me fucking insane now, I can let go. Like Kristen and I, she's been with the company over 10 years now. We've been together for 5 years, okay? She doesn't think I'm even the same person today 5 years ago as what I was, today as what I was 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago. I was kind of fucking insane, to be honest with you, because I just walked. You know, I had a guy one time, I can say his name, but he was in my management company. I wanted him to work on a weekend or do something, and he got pissed at me, and he looked at me and he said, most people don't live to work, they work to live. I'll say it again. He said, most people don't live to work, they work to live. Fair enough statement. But I'm also retired now with millions, and that motherfucker's going to have to work to the day he drops dead too. Because he don't have enough money, because he was a 40-hour-a-week guy. All he wanted to do was if you want to work 40 hours a week, no problem there. I'm not criticizing you. But fucking strap on those work boots till you're 65. And then when you get to 65, don't be having an extravagant lifestyle now. You know, fucking Red Lobster's about the fanciest place you're going to fucking go, motherfucker. You get what I'm saying? So you want to work 40 hours a week and you want to enjoy your downtime and your weekends and all this fun time? That's okay with me. But you're not going to retire with any real wealth either. So that guy had a right to say that to me. But I'm also enjoying life now too at 46, and I get to do whatever the fuck I want too. Because I was willing to work weekends. I was willing to work Christmas Day. I was willing to work Thanksgiving after I ate. Call me a piece of shit for doing all those things, but that's what got me to where I was. I went to the dentist a few months ago, and a lady said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I don't really do anything now." I said, "I'm retired." And she said, "Well, tell me the secret to that." And I said, "Oh, it's easy." And she said, "What is it?" I said, "Just work your ass off for 25 years. Work pretty much 7 days a week. Minimum work week is about 90 hours a week is a minimum work week, not a max, but a minimum. Give up personal holidays, vacations, dedicate yourself to your career, and be willing to suck it like a dick. And after that, it's pretty easy." And she looked at me and she said, "That doesn't sound like a lot of fun." I said, "No, it's really not. It's not a lot of fun at all." But I said, but now I get to fuck off enough fun. So when I tell you now that I plan to be dead by 60 and I'm going to fuck off the next 15 years, you know what I mean? 14 years, whatever it is, and have fun, you know I'm not joking about that. It's about fun now for me. Because I've done my busting ass being a fucking mule, carrying rocks up the top of the pyramid and back down again. Now it's about fun. So again, pick your fucking team. Are you in the first team that fucks off the first half of your life and you will have to work till you drop dead? Or do you work your ass off the first half and sure as shit hope, touch wood, that you get to live the second half? It bothers me when I see people that are hardworking people that finally retire and get sick or die or get ill. It upsets me because they're such hardworking people. They should deserve to enjoy their retirement. And retirement just means you get to do what you want to do. I do not think retirement means you sit around and do nothing. I see a lot of men especially do not do well with retirement because it fucks with your head a little bit. It did fuck with my head a little bit too. Like I felt
like you
guilty.
Have no purpose?
Yes. I don't know if it's purpose or like I had to really get good at saying I can be at work at 8 and leave at 4. Like that was like, you lazy piece of dog shit. You're only working that much. Like I had to give myself kind of a lot of permission to just be that. Because that's like a bum to me, those hours. If you're not 6 to 6 minimum, you're not even a fucking worthless being on this earth kind of a mental attitude. You know what I mean? So I had to give myself permission to not work like an idiot anymore, to back off and enjoy it. I had to reinvest what my goals are. So my goals were always to build, make money, build, make money, build, make money. Now my goal is to have fun. So what would you do if you had fun? You wouldn't work a 14-hour day. You'd only hang around people you enjoy their company. You do as little dick sucking as you possibly can, and you structure your life like that. But that didn't come to me overnight. I had to work at that a little bit to get comfortable with that. Like I said, Ken Brace looked at me and he finally said, it's okay to enjoy what you've built. Does that make sense? And that's why you've got to surround yourself with friends that will tell you you're being a cocksucker, will tell you you're an idiot. And I've been lucky enough that I've surrounded myself with people that will call me out on my bullshit. I remember Ken Bray one time, he's a great friend and a mentor to me, kind of brother figure and mentor, called me up one day when I was in my insane days of working. And he said, I need you to slow down a little bit. He said, you're sitting on a 3-legged stool. A 3-legged stool only works because all 3 legs are on it. If one of those legs break, you're fucked. You're working extreme hours. I think you're going to get burnt out. I think you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to do some stupid shit. And he got me right at that right time because I was drinking too much. I was working too much. I was doing some shit that wasn't real healthy for my life. And he recognized that, and I took credence in that. I valued what he said to me. So I pulled back a little bit and got a little bit of balance there. So you need people in your life that are willing to say, hey, you're being a cocksucker. Oh, hey, congratulations, you knocked it out of the park. Do it again. You can't be surrounded by yes men. You got to be surrounded by people that'll call out your bullshit. If needed, and you respect it enough to listen to it. I'm not saying you have to agree, but you at least respect it, listen to it, and then you got to be around people that will support you. And that's one thing. As you make more money, your friends do change. I will say that. I have lost a lot of good friends in Downunder Horsemanship. For many years, I resented Downunder Horsemanship because I lost a lot of close friends over the years. Because what happens is when you start a business and you're poor, you don't have much money to pay. But as you make more money, you pay people more money. But a lot of people, doesn't matter how much you pay employees, they'll always think they're worth more. That's just human nature. It doesn't matter what you pay them. If you pay $500,000, they think they're worth $1 million. And as I made more money, I lost a lot of friendships because people felt like they were entitled to more, or they were with me from the beginning. Sure, you might have been with me from the beginning, but it was my fucking talent, my fucking hard work, and my effort that busted my ass to do this. You were paid from the beginning, but a lot of people don't see it like that. Remember what I told you? Most friendships are $1 deep.
Yep.
It's a little sad, and it's a little heartbreaking, but that's what most friendships are, is $1 fucking deep. That's why if you can count 2 or 3 people in your life that have really got your fucking back. And how do you know you've got your back? When your ass is in some trouble. When you're in some deep shit and you pick up the phone, they'll either come running or they won't. It'll be one. They won't half run. They'll either be in your fucking house packing or they won't be. You'll be a little bit disappointed of how fewer friends you really actually have.
It's a hard lesson.
It's a hard lesson, but as Ken Bray told me, sometimes you got to get a few bloody noses to figure out how the playground works.
Yeah.
So now that I know how the playground works, I don't get emotional about it anymore. I don't get mad about it. I just know it's, does that answer your question? You're not going to look back because you're building.
Yeah.
You're not going to look back right now because you're building. Once you get to where you've built enough, or you get over 40, 45, maybe it's testosterone, maybe it's maturity. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I won't be the same person 5 years from now. We never are. We're not the same person. But as Reds get older, we mellow some. Shit that used to annoy us, like Kristen will laugh at me and she'll laugh and I'll say, what are you laughing at? And she'll say, man, you handled that different than what you would have 5 years ago. Normally you would have ripped that person's fucking head off and shit down their throat, and you just kind of, let it slide a little bit. And you do that as you get older. I think as we get older, we learn the battles that are worth fucking having. You don't try to win every fucking fight. You just want to win the war.
Right. Well, and it's interesting. I want to take a quick break because, speaking of being thirsty, I'm a little thirsty and I got to pee. But I got some more questions before we let you guys go. Guys, Rock and Roll Denim has absolutely changed the game when it comes to the performance and style in Western jeans. Top competitors like Shad, Tim O'Connell, Shelly Morgan, you name it. Your boy right here. We're all wearing Rock and Roll Denim inside and outside of the arena. It gives you the flexibility you need to win, as well as looking absolutely great in your interviews, appearances, whatever it is you're doing. Even when you're just doing podcasts like me. I had a chance to go to Rock and Roll Denim's factory the other day and pick out all the pants I wanted. Here's the thing. I got to try on a bunch of their new jeans. I love the men's revolver jeans with the reflex stretch technology because they're comfy. They're not stiff like some of the other jeans. Go check them out at rockandrolldenim.com or follow Rock and Roll Denim on Facebook and Instagram for the newest trends in Western fashion. rockandrolldenim.com. Texas Saddlery is my go-to place for custom leather work this holiday season. Not only do they do custom saddles and tack, but they have some of the best silver work in the business, and of course, every hand-tooled leather product you could imagine. I love their belts. You're not going to find a better belt. They are made from 100% high-grade U.S.-raised cowhides. They're rough enough to ride the fences, classy enough for a night out on the town. So fancy, in fact, the one and only Miranda Lambert commissioned Texas Saddlery to make her custom gun holsters. Texas Saddlery is the new look of the Old West. Go to txsaddlery.com. Again, that's txsaddlery.com to shop their great holiday specials or get great ideas on corporate gifts this holiday season. And don't forget to grab one of their belts, guys. txsaddlery.com. Guys, mark your calendar booked January 30th, 2 to 5 p.m. in Sunset, Texas at Double X Equine. The fantastic Lieutenant Colonel Alan West is coming for a meet and greet. He's there to answer any questions you have because he is running for governor in the 2022 race here in Great Texas. He has some phenomenal ideas. We here at The Gauge 100% endorse Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. He just appeared on an episode of The Gauge. I encourage you to go check that one out. Remember, save the date. Don't do anything but this on January 30th. Whether you agree with us or disagree with us, we want you to come. Everyone's welcome. There's going to be food, probably going to be a badger. Come on. Choose eyes. How many episodes are we in on this shit and this guy can't?
We looked at our watch. It was 10 minutes and 15 fucking seconds.
Holy shit. You don't see how valuable everything he just said was, and you're over here jerking off and it's not taken care of?
Sir, it is. I did record it on audio. I just did not have anything to record on.
So
video.
we don't get to see my expressions and my. Let's be
No,
real.
not of course.
I risked a lot wearing this rock
You
and roll
goddamn
denim
did,
sweater.
motherfucker. You did risk a lot. Yes,
Well,
you will never get laid again. I
here's the
promise you.
funny
You
thing.
made fun of my Mexican gay fucking jacket. That is gay as fuck.
Imagine if
promise
I
you.
wore this under that glittery shit.
You would never get married.
Imagine if I was
All right,
layering.
now I need to see it.
What's that?
I need you to see you wearing that under his jacket.
Well, that's a lot to ask. It's his jacket. Who knows how many gay Mexicans have been inside that jacket?
That's funny.
But regardless,
Right,
we have sponsors. They gave us a whole bunch of money to spend. And I couldn't figure out what to buy, so I bought this. They said, here's a ridiculous amount of money to buy our shit. And I was like, I'm going to wear this fucking thing. But only on a podcast. I'd never wear it in public. What?
Red, yellow, white.
Yeah.
Frankly, the funny thing about it, it's like a Colorado flag. That's why I did it. Yeah. That's gay. All right, so 2 questions. It's going to lead into a third question, but not for you, for her. How long was your first marriage?
First one was 9.5 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it was a long time. It's like fucking 9.5 years in dog years. So that was like 55 human years. Hard labor for 9.5 years.
How old were you when you got married the first time?
Oh, I think I was 21 or 20.
Oh,
you
shit.
know, I didn't know the difference between love and lust. We were just stupid kids. In her defense, we were just stupid kids. Shouldn't have got married. The only good thing about it is I never had kids with her. She wanted a family. You know, when I divorced her, within 3 years, I think within 3 years she knocked out 3 fucking kids. You know, she wanted to be the soccer mom, minivan, kids, soccer practice. She wanted the American dream, and it just wasn't me. And we stuck it out for 9.5 years, and just were completely different people. And I was driven by business and money and career. And then the second marriage, we might only be married 1.5 years, not very long. I got out of that pretty quick. But does that answer that question?
Yeah, well, now I have questions for her. Yeah, bring her up to the microphone, Ty, if you can manage to make that microphone work.
Well, it's working right now.
Because you guys have been involved on a business level and for 10 years total?
Yeah, about 10 years now.
Yeah, but then a relationship for 5. Is that correct?
That's correct. 5 years and counting.
Every day you with me, motherfucker. It's like, when's parole? Fuck, I gotta get out of jail soon, bitch.
I thought I heard beeping. It's coming from your ankle, I guess.
Oh, fuck.
But this is my question, right? So you guys worked together for 5 whole years before there was ever a relationship?
Yep.
So what fucking changed? I mean, you got to wonder, right? Like, I mean, at this point, I know you pretty fucking well. We spent enough time together and we've talked enough that I get it. But you don't talk. You just sit there and you kind of do this. Because I keep peeking over. I want to see what her reactions are to the things he says. And you either don't move at all or you do this. So you're either agreeable or you're not paying attention. It's one of the two.
I've been around him for
She's desensitized
10 years.
to me.
I'm completely
Well, yeah, but what was your
desensitized.
opinion? Because 10 years is a long fucking time.
is a long
Like
time.
for me, 10 years is almost my entire life that I can remember. I know Clinton's much older than me, as he has mentioned.
Old Man River.
It's all right, though. Captain Morgan does that.
It does.
But 5 years, all professional. And then there was some type of breaking point where you guys were like, huh, what was that? I mean, from your opinion, not Clinton's, because I know he'd answer for you, but I want you to answer.
Well, what is it, 1.5 years of pursuance?
Pursuing?
Not on my end.
I chased her for a long time. I had to run her down. It fucking took 3 horses and 16 buffalo to get the bitch wore down. But I fucking eventually rode that bitch into the ground. Okay, I'll do it. I'll have sex with you, you piece of shit.
Oh my God. But what was it, right? Obviously, what was the job actually? So this is what I want to know first from you. What was the job that you took? And that
So
first
I actually was in the academy. So I came down in, I believe, 2011. So 2011 is when I came down to a clinic. And that's back when you had to do a clinic and basically that was your interview and you had to be invited to come back and do the academy. So back then the academy was 1.5 years long. for the first section. And then, so I was there for a year and a half for that. I went home for 2 years and basically traveled the country teaching his methods. So doing clinics and lessons, training horses. And then he invited me to come back to do the professional section of that, and which is basically learning kind of the rest of it. So that took 2 years, and then I never left. Then he offered me the position to do the performance horses, and I've been doing that for 5 years now. So I don't really know kind of what the turning point was.
If he pursued you for a year and a half and you're like, no, thank you, there had to be a serious turning point. I mean, there had to be. A year and a half, like I haven't dedicated a failed venture. A year and a half dedicated to someone rejecting you. You are very persistent, Clinton.
I can't handle failure. At that point, I didn't even like it. It was like, fuck it, I'm going to win.
I think it was, I wanted to finish all my training and professional. I don't know how else to say this. I don't want to fuck the boss to get the certification.
You didn't want that stigma.
I didn't want that stigma. I earned my certification.
I actually treated her worse than most people because of that reason. Because I didn't want people. Kristen is extremely talented and hard worker and probably the best I've ever had. There's only one other girl, Shayna Terry, and one guy, Jeff Davis.
Wait, are we still talking about horse training?
Yeah, we are. Well, Shayna was a girl I dated for 5-6 years too before Kristen, but she was as dedicated as what Kristen was, and Jeff Davis. And so I actually treated her tougher than everybody else because I didn't want that stigma that she fucked the boss to get her career ahead. So I actually treated her worse. What do I mean by worse? I made her work longer, do shittier jobs, do everything publicly fucking shitty so that nobody could just say she got the easy route. Yeah. Plus, I wanted her to earn it so that when she gets to that point, she knows in the back of her mind whether we last another year, 10 years, 50 years, or a day, she earned what she got. Does that make sense? So I deliberately made it tough. When you date the woman, when the boss dates the woman in the company, they automatically assume they got it for free. So you got to hold them accountable a lot tougher than everybody else, in my mind. If you want the company to back the person, she has to work harder than everybody else so that nobody can say she got it easy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna shit where you eat, you got to really season that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. But it's still. The question was, what was the turning point where he actually was palatable to you?
Oh, he's always been charming.
Yeah, charming. He's very charming. The fact that he can run in here with that jacket and still we're having a good time, it tells you all the charm. It's all charm.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
But even still, so it was an intentional like, oh, I'm not going there. Not that you weren't attracted to him or whatever.
Correct, yeah.
A woman.
It was an intention.
That's the most woman answer.
Just hold off, yes.
She was also married at the time.
I was married at the time.
Oh, the plot thickens. Okay.
I was married at the time, and so, that had to be put to bed and taken care of first. And then, honestly, he always treated me so well. My mom was diagnosed with cancer. I think I was at the ranch for about 5 days and then learned that news. And he's always made sure that, like, he sent me home to take care of her. It never affected my job because in the academy, there's really no wiggle room. You've got horses to take care of. You've got a job to do. My family lives 1,500 miles away, so it's a big deal. You can't just, go see them on the weekends. It's a commitment to go do. So he was always good to me. I always respected him. And then just over time, respect turned to care and kind of compassion and eventually love.
Love is a big word. I like that word, though. But not marriage, clearly. You both are against marriage.
No. We don't need
the
legal document to...
You don't need the government in the middle of your love.
Hell no.
Why?
No, why?
Yeah.
Why mess up the great thing we got going?
Tristan doesn't want kids, and I've made it clear that I didn't want kids. I went and got vasectomy 5 years ago, went up to Dallas, jerked off for 6 weeks. They had like an Asian special on twins, and I couldn't resist it, so I jerked off for 6 weeks and got fixed. And then I always knew if I went broke, I could sell that to some crazy bitch that might buy it. So sell
it with a program.
Yeah. So that was my plan B. And then, so I never wanted kids, and she didn't want any kids. And I was very clear. I said I didn't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. If that's a problem for you.
You laid it down.
Oh,
from the
yeah, I
very
laid
beginning.
it right out there. Yeah. I laid it right out. I'd already been down that merry-go-round twice, so I didn't want to do it again and waste somebody's time.
Why do you think people are so attached to the label?
Because it's culture and peer pressure, and that's what culture expects you to do. And security. But people think getting married is security. Well, fuck, why? 50% of them fail. There's no security there.
No.
It's higher than that, 75 now, I think.
So it's people think
50 still?
And I like how he puts it's a license to get lazy.
marriage is a license to get lazy. I always say that. It pisses women off, but fuck it, it is what it is. It's a license to get lazy because you quit having to try. You quit having to give a fuck. You gain weight. You know, if you ask yourself, are you really going to fucking, if you were on a first date, will you fart in front of them? That's the question. So most of the answer is no, I probably wouldn't fart in front of a chick if it was a first date. Okay. Well, your attitude is, am I going to fart in front of them 10 years from now? And the answer is most people say yes. Because you get fucking lazy. You don't give a fuck.
That's always a breaking point, or not a breaking point, but a turning point in the relationship when the girl either farts or takes her first shit, and you know it. That's when shit is serious.
Yeah.
That's love.
Yeah, that's love.
Yeah.
She farted in front of me one time, and I said, please, let's just go back to dating.
I don't know how many times he's asked, so in the last 4 years, did you just not fart? No, I just was strategic about where to let it out.
Yeah, everybody farts and everybody shits, but the best women are the ones who you just don't quite know when.
Oh, they shit and fart at the same time.
Well, you got to be really careful because if one comes before the other, we got bigger problems.
That's funny.
It's interesting.
Fun.
I mean, so you were here last time. I knew who you were as far as in his life based on conversations that we've had, but I was like, you're really quiet.
I just observe. I like to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can
And that's
see that.
he might say kind of the same type of stories. Like obviously I've heard everything that he's saying with you guys. I've heard it more than a dozen times, but he always adds just different little sayings or just little stories that maybe I haven't heard. Mm-hmm. And he's just always been really inspirational for me. I don't understand how he can kind of predict the future, especially like in the horse world and even outside of it too. He can predict a lot of the future of, okay, this young guy, he's striving to do this in his business. Clinton's already been down that road. So if he would just stop and listen to what Clinton has to say, Clinton can tell you the next 5 years of how your life is going to go. If you don't do these steps, you're going to end up broke, divorced, hungry, no horses in the barn, no business. It shocks him how many people don't pay attention to what he has to say because he can kind of predict the future at this point. It's kind of scary.
A lot of it's because of fuck-ups, too. I'm not saying I haven't made these mistakes. In fact, most of the shit that I tell people not to do is because I fucked it up personally myself. More than once, typically. But the difference is I didn't have somebody else guiding me. I didn't have anybody else giving me a roadmap. So when I tell young people, don't get married, don't have any kids before 30, it's because I haven't had kids, because I fucked those things up. They're life-changing things. You can't just take it back. You don't have a baby and say, this motherfucker's a little needy. Let's not do this no more. You don't return it to Walmart. You return a shitty diaper to Walmart, but you can't return a fucking kid.
Not in this country.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, not in this country, yeah. But that's why I tell them that kind of stuff, because you will fuck up your life.
It's 90% of the reason I told Riley to tell him to come back is because I learned a lot the first time. I just need to learn more. It's really a really good idea, I think, to listen to people who have paved a path, and especially in an industry like this where everybody does the same dumb shit over and over. It doesn't matter if it's cow, horse, rodeo, whatever. It's the same fucking thing over and over. Chase the glory, chase the buckle, do this, be broke.
And I've never met anybody that stops and asks as many questions about as many different topics as he does.
Yeah.
He'll ask anybody anything, anytime, and he'll ask several people the same questions just to see how the answers differ.
Yeah.
And that's how he gathers information on anything. Cars, horses, business, money, anything. Absolutely anything.
That's why most of my friends are a lot older than me. Like, I'm going to a lot of funerals. lately, which is kind of upsetting to me, because most of my friends are 20 to 25 years older than me. And I've always been attracted to older people because I think I like their wisdom. I think I like their life experiences. I think I like what I ask them, where they fuck up. What would they do again? What are their regrets? And I just identify with older people. I've always been like that.
So have I.
Well, now that I'm 46, most of my friends that are 20 to 25 years older, they're starting to drop like flies. Like I said, I've had a lot of close personal mentors and friends die between 60 and 65. So I told her, I said, I'm just going to plan to be dead by 60. If I live past that, it's a blessing. But I'm going to fucking enjoy from now to 60 because I may not be around after that. So hopefully what I would like is maybe the next 15, 20 years, I'm a mentor to people below me, but young people that want to learn something. Hopefully I can teach them some things and help them in their lives and better them. I'm a big believer in a hand up, not a fucking handout. I don't give bums any fucking money on the side of the road. Never have, never will. When I see the first homeless motherfucker that has a sign that says, need a job, I'll put him in the back of the car and I'll get him a fucking job immediately. Just show me one fucking bum with a sign that says, want a job, want to get ahead, don't like being homeless, how do I change this? Something along those lines.
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen it either. Again, I'll say it, I'm a big believer in a hand up, not a hand out. You give people a fucking handout, they stay on the ground. You give them a hand up, they get the fuck up. So I'm a big believer in helping people who want to help themselves. But if you don't want to help yourselves, I have zero fucking empathy for them. Zero. Because you keep feeding the kitty and the motherfucker keeps coming back to the door every day. You know what I mean? So so hopefully I'll be a mentor, hopefully, to other people in their lives, younger people. Again, I'm the first to say I fucked a lot of things up. I don't hide that at all. But I'm losing a lot of my great friends, and I'm getting to that age now where I would have met them 20 years ago when they were 46, and they're dying off. But I've been lucky to know them and learn from them. My idea is, fuck it. If you fucked it up, I'd sure as shit want to learn from you rather than me fuck it up. Now, some of the shit they told me not to do, I did anyway and fucked it up. But there's a lot of shit they told me not to do that I did not do either. You know what I mean? So I always feel, I always say you learn from your mistakes, and then a wise man learns from his mistakes. And then they say a wiser man learns from somebody else's mistakes. That's true. But sometimes in life, you need to fuck up your own things and get bit by the rattlesnake and learn it. And that's like Ken Bray says, sometimes you got to get a few bloody noses to figure out how the playground works. You don't like a bloody nose, but that's what needs to happen sometimes to figure out how shit works.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I enjoy, the banter here so much, because there's so much valuable stuff you're just giving out for free.
Older people have been there, done it. Ask them questions. What do they regret? What would they do again? What would they change? How would they do it differently? Ask them all those questions. Some things you'll get nothing out of them. Some things you'll get a gold mine out of them. So ask those questions. And just like when I get into a new industry, okay, when I don't know something in an industry that I'm not familiar with, I ask a billion questions to a lot of people, but I typically ask the same questions to all the same people, because you'll see common threads. When you ask 20 people the same 10 questions, the truth is what you'll start to see as a thread. You'll start to see a common thread that, 7 out of 10 people said this, all kind of agree on this. That must be true. Or 6 people said it wasn't true. If you ask the same basic question to enough people, you'll start to filter out the bullshitters and the liars. So that's why I've never been, maybe prideful's the word, or arrogant. A lot of people call me arrogant. Fuck it, I don't care. But I ask a lot of questions. I want to learn from people that know more than me. And I'll be, in the horse industry, in business, I'm pretty good at that. I can read that and I know what's going to happen because I've been there and done it, and I've seen it fucked up a dozen times and fucked it up myself a lot too. Outside of the horse industry, I'm not real smart, but inside the horse industry, I know that industry inside and out. And I'm always thinking 5 years ahead. I never go to bed thinking about today or even tomorrow. I'm thinking, where am I going to be in 5 years? I don't... You could almost say I plan too much. Most people, I think, don't even fucking plan at all. They just wake up and let the day take them where it's going to fucking take them. I can't live like that. You know what I mean? I'm too structured, too OCD. I got to know where I'm going. I got to have a plan. I got to have a goal, etc. So I'm always thinking 5 years down the track. it's hard for me to comprehend how all people don't think like that. But again, we're not all built the same. We're not all wired the same. You can't make an unmotivated person motivated. Like we talked about the color code in this thing, okay? I've had lots of students that were different colors from me that were kind of fuck-ups when I got them. And as long as my foot was on their head and I told them when to shit and when to get up and when to go to bed, and I made them work a 14-hour day, and I gave them structure and I gave them discipline and I gave them respect and I gave them a chance to build their career, they excelled. And me and my naivety, or whatever that word is, being naive, I thought when I got them straightened out with 3 years of me, when they left me, they would continue those habits and structured life form to be successful entrepreneurs. Most of the time it doesn't work.
No, never.
I realize now they were very successful when I gave them the guidance, when I gave them the structure. But when they left their parents' home and they got out on their own, people always draw back to what they are. So if they're a lazy motherfucker, they will eventually just crawl back to being a lazy, no good motherfucker. If they're a go-getting motherfucker, they'll stay a go-getting motherfucker. You know what I mean? You can't change what people are. You can change them as long as you stay on top of them and whip them into shape. But when they get away from mom and dad...
You're not changing them, though. You're conforming them.
You're conforming them. But I was naive enough to believe that I was making a lifelong change in these kids.
It's because it goes back to how sentimental you are. You thought you were making a difference in their life. It always comes back to him being sentimental.
Yeah, that's the blue in me. I got 14% blue in me. I gave a fuck. I took it. I wanted young people to be successful. As much as a lot of young people that if you ever interviewed them that worked for me, a lot of them that weren't successful will say, I'm a piece of shit, I worked them too hard, I didn't care, I didn't do this. They can say all that shit, but I tell you what, analyze those people's lives. They're all bums now. They have dead-end fucking careers. They're making 35 grand a year. They're fucking nothing. So was I the problem, motherfucker, or you the fucking problem? You know what I mean? Anybody that said, yeah, everybody but even Kristen will say, Clinton's goddamn tough. He's real tough to work for, and he expects you to give 110%. But he was always fair. I didn't expect more out of them than I expected out of me. So if I worked a 100-hour week, bitch, you better be right beside me doing a 100-hour week. And if you're smart, when you leave me and you'll become a successful business owner, you're still going to work a 100-hour week. All these kids that left, they all thought they were going to work less hours and make more money. No, you're naive. So I had children really in my career. I didn't have any physical children, but I had lots of kids over 20 years come through my business that were kind of like my kids. I wanted them to be successful. I worried about them. You know, what are they doing? I can't tell you how many fucking kids that I thought were going to be successful when they left just took a left fucking turn. You know what I mean?
How do you detach yourself from those outcomes, though, in their lives?
Oh, now I just don't give a fuck. I'm kind of bitter and old now. I don't give a fuck. Like, I had one girl that sticks out in my mind. This girl came to me. I'm not going to mention any names. This girl came to me from a state. I won't even say the fucking state. She's working at 7-Eleven. No career, no education, busted ass nothing. Comes from white trash family. Big time trailer trash, white trash family. Comes to me as an apprentice. This girl can't ride worth a fuck. I mean, useless, okay? So I have no need for her because she's so green, I'd have to invest hundreds of hours into this, thousands of hours into this bitch to get her up to scratch, okay? Well, but she tried so hard, worked so hard, tried so hard, put in 150% effort. As much as I'm a piece of shit, I didn't have the heart to fire her. That's a lot for a red, too. I didn't have the heart to fire her because she worked so hard. So I thought, okay, I'll just run this bitch off. I'll just work her into the ground till she quits. Could not fucking do it. Tried my best. Stayed with me 3 years. After 3 years, she was very talented with a horse, very successful, could really get around a bad colt, could do some shit. Her first year out, I help her get set up and she's gone out on her own. She makes $110,000 at 22 years of age, 110 grand a year.
Training horses.
That's a lot of money for a boy or a girl at 22.
In this industry, it's a huge
So
number.
I give her the same speech. Don't get knocked up. Don't get fucking married. Don't do anything in your life. I tell people until you get to 30, if I make a call and say a billionaire in Brazil is hiring you for $300,000 a year, get there tonight. My theory was, and I told everybody this, under 30, If you cannot be packed up in your apartment, ready to board a plane in 6 hours, you have too much shit in your life. You have too much shit. No dogs, no fucking cats, no 15 fucking horses. So that when the call comes for big money, be there. Well, I have a boyfriend and I'm married and I got 3 kids and I got 18 donkeys and your life is so fucking cluttered. You can't do it. When you stay mobile, you go where the money is. Nobody ever makes money where they live. You got to go to the money. If it's different parts of the country, every time I've moved, I've made more money. I know people that have lived in their hometown their entire fucking lives. The same town they were born in. And guess what they're doing? The same dumb shit their parents were fucking doing. Making the same fucking money their parents were fucking making. Now, to me, that seems stupid. But to them, they might say, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. I like it. I'm content. More power to you. I think it's dumb, but I'm not going to, their life, they can do what they want with it. But go where the fucking money is. So her first year out, she makes 110 grand. What does she do? She gets fucking knocked up. Gets knocked up by a fucking bum that's got 4 different kids by 3 different women. One of the women's in jail. One of the wives is in jail as well. He's just a white trash piece of shit. That's all this guy was, okay? She gets knocked up. Tell her to get an abortion. She won't get a fucking abortion. Last I heard, she was working a minimum wage job for $11 an hour. Not even with me anymore. Hasn't been with me for years and years. Making $11 an hour. Went from $110 fucking $1,000, gets knocked up by a piece of shit white trash idiot, blows all the savings. She has 60 grand of savings saved up. I tell her, get rid of this piece of shit. Oh, he's going to marry me. He's going to do this. He wipes out her savings. That really hit me hard. I never forgot that one. That was a hard one for me to swallow. Now, call me a piece of shit, but I've been let down enough now. I don't take it personal. To get back to your question, do I take it personal anymore? No. I don't take it personal anymore because I just say, here's the opportunities in life. Either be smart. Ian Francis, my mentor, greatest man I ever met, one of the greatest. He always says, you know what luck is? Luck is where opportunity and hard work meet each other. Luck is opportunity and hard work meet each other. There's no such thing as fucking luck. There's hard work and there's an opportunity. And when those two fucking meet, row like a motherfucker down that river. That's what luck is called. Hard work and opportunity meet each other. So they either take advantage. I try to provide opportunity and hard work. If they don't take that, I don't care anymore. They're not my fucking kids. And I had to kind of learn to say that a little bit. I kind of acted like they were my kids. People say, how come you don't have kids? I'm like, fuck a duck. I've had fucking 20 years of these little pricks. 20 years I've been worrying about other parents' children. You know what I mean? So if I pushed you or cussed you out, it's because you could have been better. You could have been more successful, but you're a lazy little piece of shit and you won't take a hold of the horns and shake the fucking ball. The world is full of average motherfucking people. Full of it.
We got 7 billion people walking
Don't
around.
be average. Be great. I don't give a fuck if it's not horses, if it's playing the piano, jerking off. I don't give a fuck what you do. Be the best at what you are. Don't be average. The average world is full of average fucking people. Be exceptional at anything you want to be. But a lot of young people didn't want to be pushed as hard as I wanted to.
They also don't want to hear it. So the hardest thing is that because ego is everything.
Well,
because this little pride thing that everybody has.
They've heard their parents say this bullshit. Parents are real good at their praise. Parents say to kids, "Baby, you can be anything you want to be. You want to be an astronaut. You can be an astronaut." That's all true. Great stuff to tell kids they can be anything they want to be. But followed up with, okay, Cindy, you can be an astronaut, honey, but you have to really bust your ass and you have to go to school. You have to have phenomenal grades. You can't get in any trouble. You can't get knocked up. You can't get fucked and married. And you've got to stay. You've got to do your career and focus on it. And you can get on the moon. But it's going to take a lot of sacrifice and a lot of dedication. But you can do it. See, they're real good at the first half of the speech. You can be anything you want to be. But they really suck at the back end of the speeches. Motherfucker, it ain't going to come easy. It ain't going to come without a price. It ain't going to come without a lot of heartache and 15-hour days and sleepless nights. So parents are real good at the first half. You can be anything you want to be, motherfucker, yeah. And then I got to be the arsehole that gets them after 18 and straightens the little fuckers out and says, okay, this is the real world. Start getting into it. This is what it takes to be successful. So when they see me, they're like, what the fuck? Daddy just says I could be anything I want to be. You said it fucking's going to be a lot of work. It is going to be a lot of work. So they're real good at the encouragement, but they're real shitty at the back end. So a lot of the kids that failed under me failed because they were set up to fail from their fucking parents. Their parents just gave them half the conversation, which is you can be what you want to be. You can be, but you better sacrifice, you better dedicate, you better commit, and you better want it more than the next motherfucking person. Ian Francis, my mentor, says, if you want something bad enough, you will find a way. And if you don't, you will find an excuse. That is the signature on the bottom of every email I send out. It says that, Ian Francis. If you want something bad enough, you will find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. So that sums up life right there. If you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find the fucking excuse.
I think there's probably no better way to do a mic drop on this podcast. Like everybody agrees. For some reason, Ty's flipping through Twitter while we're dropping all this knowledge. You're blue as fuck.
Motherfucker, he's probably checking Joe Biden's fucking Twitter account or some bullshit.
Look at him. He's like, let me show you what I wasn't doing.
It's all right.
It is. There's a blue screensaver, though. Funny how that works out.
It's funny, funny. Let's go, Brandon, motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys got to get somewhere.
Yeah, we're going to the cutting finals.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching great trainers and great horses.
5. It's perfect time.
And get after it. Well, cheers, guys. Look after yourself. Cheers.
You too.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. This has been The Gauge, hosted by me, Chance Conrado, produced and edited by our guy, Ty Yeager. Shout out to the executive producers, Dustin Pointer and Cody Denton. Marketing and content produced by Riley Chone. Make sure to rate and review this podcast, as well as follow The Gauge on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And make sure to subscribe to The Gauge wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you guys next time.